Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Racekraft Simulations V8 Veterans here for round 6 of season 20 out at Autodromo de Monza. It's going to be a fast-paced night of racing here for the Split 2 action. I'm your commentator, Hamish Munro, joined as always by my co-host in Scotty Gamble. Scotty, I mean, Monza, after last week at Daytona, could it be any more chaotic than what we had over those first probably about 10 laps last week?
Hey, how you going, Hamish? And welcome to those tuned in to the stream tonight. Yeah, could it be? What an absolute race we had last week. Really looking forward to how Monza goes this week with the Split 2 guys. It's a similar sort of thing that they've got going on here, Hamish, with the draft, both being big draft tracks. That's going to bring some drivers back into it that maybe, you know, might be those couple of tenths off, but that draft's going to keep them in the game. And if they're thereabouts come towards the end of this race, we could see all sorts of things unfold. So I'm really looking forward to how the drivers go with their strategies and how they race tonight.
I think it's going to be all about strategy tonight, Scotty. How you attack drivers, how you defend against drivers. The tow is going to be an absolutely massive part to play in the little dance that we're going to be having here for the next couple of hours around this track. We'll get our little Google Earth track map up for everyone now, brought to us by Jay over at Simspeed. A massive thank you to him once again for providing these images as we trickle our way on down into the north of Italy for the first of a double header in the Italian countryside. We start here at Monza this week, and then we head over to Imola next week. But this week it is for the Temple of Speed. One of the fastest laps we will have all season, Scotty. Drivers will be getting up to upwards of 300 kilometres per hour down some of these straights, and it is going to be a fast-paced start on the main straight here up towards turn 1 and 2 for Rettifilo.
Yeah, absolutely, Hamish. It's all about balancing that car. When you come into turn 1, very easy to lock an inside right-hand tyre and also get collected on the exit of turn 2 if drivers don't give enough room. So it's extremely important, especially first lap. Restarts after safety car, watch turn 1 and 2. But as you get out of Rettifilo and you head up through the curve, up through turn 3, it's flat out. You hug the inside. There is an overtaking opportunity as you get up into turn 4, but you have to get that overlap, especially with the way that the V8 Vets system is. You've got to get that overlap before you turn in. So get through turn 4 and 5. It's a fast turn. There is off tracks available there, so drivers have to get that right, and it's very, very important they get on the gas early to get their acceleration onto the next stage of this track.
Yeah, we always talk about maximising your exits through corners, and the maximisation of your exit of the Variante della Roggia is going to be one of the toughest tests of tonight's race. We've seen a multitude of incidents happen there over the times across all splits around that corner, multiple cars bumping into the rear end of each other, turning them around, and then just being an absolute car park at that part of the circuits. And a fast run up through the Lesmos for 6 and 7. Drivers need to be super, super careful to try and dance their cars through there, not take too much curb, or as they can spit them out to the right-hand side and into the sand. Turn 7, exit of that corner. Another part where you can get off track, Scotty. If drivers are running it too wide onto the AstroTurf, they're going to cop themselves an off track. And, well, with only 17 of them, they're going to have to be strategic of how they grab them. So in the fast run down towards Ascari of 8, 9, and 10. Another passing opportunity if you can get up alongside into the braking zone. But another spot where we could see some drama here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, Hamish. And this is a very technical corner through Ascari. As you enter into turn 8, you've really got to hit your braking markers. You can pick up that left-hand side anti-cut, get onto it, balance the car. You're in third gear. You're really hugging in tight on the right-hand side as you head through 9 and the exit onto turn 10. Again, we talk about exits, but it's absolutely crucial that you get that exit right. Don't cut the anti-cut too much on the left-hand side there, and get it right out it, and don't get the off track as you head down into Parabolica. Absolutely crucial there. Can get overtaken. Big dives ascend at turn 11. I've seen it quite often where incidents can evolve there and happen, and you can see it building up through races, Hamish. And it's something that I'll be watching very closely tonight to see how the drivers get through there.
One thing we're also going to have to watch, Scotty, is the pit entry of this track. If anyone is planning on coming into the pits and then have a wide run at the Parabolica, they could very easily get caught out in no man's land in trying to come into the pit lane, having to wait for drivers to come up the inside line before they can cut across back into that pit entry zone. Similarly to how we saw it happen at Belle Isle with a couple of drivers trying to get into that pit entry whilst having to wait for the traffic to come past them because they can't get over into the next lane. Obviously, though, you want to try and maximise that exit of the Parabolica because you want to try and maximise your run down the straight towards one of the best overtaking opportunities of this track in turn 1 if you can get it done under brakes. But it's going to take 2 to tango down at that corner because if one of them says yay or nay, we could end up in massive, massive death down at the first couple of spots on this track. But it's going to be a fast lap, Scotty. Lap times are going to be roughly in... I'm trying to remember how fast the laps were. I think it's... Are they mid?
Yeah, you can do a quali. We might see some of the drivers get into the high 46s.
Yeah.
Some of them may be running around the 47s. And you know, over the course of the lap, it is a high-wearing track on tyres. It is something drivers do have to keep in mind. There is a lot of tyre wear here, especially your left rear tyre. It cops an absolute hiding. Especially through turns 6 and 7, those big right-handers, loads them up, you're under a lot of throttle there. So drivers are going to have to manage that tyre wear if we can go long distances without safety cars.
We've got a heap of people in the chat already. It's great to have you all here once again with us here tonight. Of course, we have Big Mac getting in early, giving the love to both the Steves from SLS. Will Munro in the chat as well, saying good evening to us. Great to have you here, Will. Tuning in all the way from the Philippines. Sean Vandermillen in the chat as well, saying good evening, Scott, Hamish, and everyone else. Great to have you here. Luke Goldman, Dean Logsdale, some of the AJR boys here tonight. We've also got John Gallen in the chat as well, current championship leader, Scotty, and it's going to be absolutely insane to see how he's going to be able to contest some of the traffic here tonight as well. We got Icepack Gaming, Simon Haynes, Peter Kelleher as well. We've also got Jace out there as well, tuning in for the Saturday night support. Looking forward to some close draft battles. It's going to be absolutely intense. Dane Palmer out there as well. Great to have you in here, Dane, and everyone else watching with you, of course. We've got Mick Clifton out there too, Scott Mackay. Heap of people already watching us here tonight, Scotty, for some split 2 action, and it is almost guaranteed to be absolutely ballistic. My voice was gone yesterday after calling some crazy action across 2 race series, and I cannot imagine how it's going to be tonight after the split 2 action, because Monza, it creates chaos, it creates carnage, but boy, it creates some great racing as well.
Yeah, it absolutely does, Hamish. It's a bit of a favourite for those in the V8 supercars. It's a track that lends itself to very good racing in the V8 supercars. The drafts there, it gives a multitude of strategies. We touched on it earlier, but fuel saving. You can absolutely save a bucket load of fuel around this track. And if you're smart, you just let the car drag you along in front, you save the fuel, you can get big undercuts. So drivers are going to have to manage that, and if they'll get caught out when it comes around pit stop time, they put in the extra fuel because they're not in the draft. Will it catch drivers out? Will it not? I've seen it happen before. I'll be watching that tonight too, Hamish, on their fuel stop times.
So we're, depending on fuel usage, of course, critical lap's going to be around about probably between lap 11 and lap 14, depending on how well these drivers can minimize their fuel use here tonight. That's then going to create maybe a little bit of carnage early on. We may get an early safety car after lap 1, which then causes majority of the field to come in, take a free pit stop, and then look ahead to when they could possibly take their second. I think safety cars are going to be a big factor here tonight, because when they drop, could make or break certain drivers' races here tonight, and then their decisions under safety car if they come into the pits could also have a big factor as well in terms of figuring out who's actually going to be getting onto the top step in this race and who's going to be able to claim the glory here tonight in Monza. It's going to be, last time we were here, it was, I think, season 17, so we haven't been here for 3 seasons. It's going to be interesting to see how this newly formed Split 2 field is going to handle it. They've been having some great racing so far this season, Scotty, but it's a completely different ballgame to what we had 3 seasons ago. It's a completely different structure of Split to what we had a couple of seasons ago when we were last here. There's quite a few boys from Split 3 of that era, Split 1 of that era, and some newbies as well. It's going to be interesting to see how these guys gel with this track as well as together in their battles.
You're absolutely right. We've got the 10 that came up from Split 3, 10 that came back down from Split 1. So it is a really diverse, it throws in a big mix into this Split 2 one. So it will be interesting. We've got a bunch of experienced drivers in there that have come back from Split 1. We've got guys from Split 3 who have come up. They're eager to prove. They're eager to get onto it. We've got some regular Split 2 drivers, I'd call them now, Hamish, that have been in Split 2 for a couple of seasons. And I always think you need a couple of seasons in that split when you're going up to find your feet to be able to push forward. So it'll be interesting to see how those drivers have adapted and how they're going with this race here at Monza, because they're the ones to probably watch with the consistency throughout the season and how they evolved from last season. A good point would be some of the drivers that went from Split 2, Hamish, something we were talking about prior to the broadcast, how they went from Split 2 into Split 1. We've got some really good results in there. Your last season champion, Kennedy, he's sitting in the top 10, P8 currently in Split 1. So that's phenomenal effort. Crosby's up there in the top 20. We've also got... who am I trying to think of?
We got Buckland, Goosey, Caperonis, all within 3 positions of each other. They're all then 2 positions ahead of Shane Randall. So they're all still around about the same spot, and they've all done the same amount of races. They've done 7 races across all 6 rounds this season. So those guys are all pretty closely contested and looking good to actually stay up in Split 1 next season. Halil says that he's a little bit further back, but he has missed a round. Same for Mario Reali as well. So, there's a couple of little niggles in there of it's really going to depend on how these drivers go with their drop rounds and how they go in the next 4 rounds of this championship going forward. And I think a strong end to this season, a strong consistent end to this season is really going to play them well. And it'd be interesting to see how, those drivers who have missed a couple of rounds already, how that's actually going to affect them and if they go into that bottom 10 and if they're forced to come down into Split 2 next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good talking point, and it's good for Split 2 drivers to look at it. It should give them confidence that if you get promoted into Split 1, you can do well. As we were just talking about, some of those drivers, they're in the top 25 in Split 1 at this stage without drop rounds in effect. They're not going to drop out of Split 1. They're potentially going to stay there. So, absolute credit to them. They're driving absolutely phenomenal. So if you're in Split 2, you go to Split 1, well, absolutely, you can stay in there. So well done to them. That's why we brought it up, and to talk about it, to show these Split 2 drivers, yes, you can do well when you go up a class into Split 1. But it's all about you guys tonight here in Split 2. So I'm really looking forward to it, Hamish. Practice is underway, or the warm-up at the moment, so not long to go.
No, we're not. We're only a couple of minutes away from the gridding up period and the start of this race here tonight. One name I want to throw out there tonight of someone who we may want to keep an eye on, Scotty, is Jamie Peters. Last time we were here, when he was in Split 3, he actually won the race here in Season 17. So he may be someone that we can keep an eye on because he is very, very strong around this track. And if he can, he's had some odd top 10s this season, especially at the end of last season as well. He could be the one to maybe cop himself a little sneaky podium if he's if he can get the strategy right tonight and get the luck about him as well. As unfortunately Todd Duggan's had a massive moment at a scurry there in the background. He could be someone that we should be really maybe keeping an eye on tonight as a little sneaky dark horse to get onto that podium. I think our favourites of John Gallons, Steve Lanyon, who've been having an incredible season so far. They could be up there, as well as Brenton O'Brien, who's back into the series as well after, not being here for every single race. Michael Quain, he's been struggling this season, but I think he could really start to resurge up towards the final part of this season. And then Matthew Scholes as well, who's been showing some great pace recently and trying to get back to the Matthew Scholes of old. So a couple of those drivers we could see do quite well here tonight. It'll be very interesting to see how they do around this place and if they can maximise on that toe and maximise on their abilities around this track here at Monza.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good that you did bring up Jamie Peters. It touches on what we were talking about earlier, Hamish, where, last season he really struggled in the first half, had good pace of that season, but the second half of the season he come on. This season, he's really shown his foot to these Split 2 drivers and got some excellent, consistent results. So, yeah, definitely a driver to watch, and especially with his pace that he's shown in the past here at Monza. Gallen, like you mentioned, absolutely driving beautifully, not only in this league, Hamish, but other leagues, as you know, and commentate on. He's absolutely driving beautifully and in really good form. We know Scotty Mackay from VGA, fella pace. Does he have the experience, the strategy in these V8s, in the Vets races at the moment to capitalise on it? A couple of mistakes there, but we should see him going forward as well.
Yeah, same with Jason Spriggs as well, who I don't believe has actually set a qualifying time here tonight. So he's going to have to be doing the last to first challenge in this one. I do believe, I think someone has a pit lane start. I cannot quite recall though. We will know though when we do read through the grid for tonight's race. And that will give us the best knowledge of where people are starting who may be in the hot seat to get something out of this race. I think if you're going to not want to start anywhere, Scotty, you're probably not wanting to start in the mid-pack because that is likely the most likely spot that we could see some big carnage here tonight. I think if you're right at the back, or maybe if you're around about the top 10, maybe back even to P13 or 14, you could get away with it here tonight. But I think that mid-pack between about P15 and maybe P30, they could be hell to pay if you're in that spot, and drivers are going to have to be careful about that because they'll be wanting to move up forward, and if there's some faster guys slotted back there, they're going to be pushing to get forward as well, and it could cause hella carnage out there.
Yeah, that mid-pack is very, very dangerous, especially on restarts, especially at the start, turn 1, turn 2. We touched it on the track map there, but everything just checkers back on you, Hamish, and when you're in there, you've got to give a lot more room, otherwise you're nose to tail, you cause an incident. The guys behind that are further back, like you mentioned, from P30 back, they've got that advantage where they can see up in front. They know they're not really going to make too many places, and they can just take it easy for that first lap. But guys in that mid-pack, they're pushing forward. They want to gain positions, which is fair enough. but it's a very difficult to manage, and how these drivers go about it, especially some of the faster drivers that may not have got a quality lap time in that they would normally be used to, or in a position that they're not normally used to in that 20th odd position. It's going to be very difficult, and they're going to have to manage that extremely carefully to get through there cleanly.
Well, we're going to see how well they can deal with the tried and trusted struggles of Monza here tonight. Gridding is about to get started, and we'll get through our starting grid for tonight's race. Scott Mackay will start on pole position ahead of Matthew Scholes in P2 here tonight in a head-to-head battle at the front of the field. It's then an all-accelerate sim racing second row of the grid with Lorne Mackay and Mick Clifton in behind them. Ed Fox and John Gallen start the third row of the grid ahead of Rick Feiger and Daniel Sheriffs to make up the top 8. That's a very great qualifying there from Daniel Sheriffs. He's really been struggling this season, but he's done well here tonight to get it into the top 10. Steve Grumley, Brenton O'Brien, then make up the top 10 here in qualifying with Scott McKenzie and Andrew Hoffman, starting in behind them. We then have Jamie Peters and Luke Ullman making up the top 7 rows with Matt Stores and Mark Houghton making up the top 16. Robert Crow, Peter Vermey then start P17 and P18 on the road with Todd Duggan and Wayne Shepherd starting in behind them to make up the top 20. Ray Smith and Brendan Zatira then start P21 and P22 with Sean Vandermillen and Adrian Zeal lining up in behind them. We then have Scott West and Simon Heddersheed in behind with Jeremy Bush and Simon Farrington making up the top 28. Damon Fisher and Michael Quainer then make up the top 30 in behind them. Brett Taylor, Stacey Boyd then start P31 and P32 with John Fillingham and Steve Lanyon starting P33 and P34. Dean Logsdale, Peter Baxter to make up the top 36 cars on the grid. It's then Troy Sipple, Peter Latham, Roy Clark, Todd Martin making up the top 40 with Michael Yeo, Richard Barella, Jason Spriggs starting in behind them. Sean Cullen, Andrew Rushworth, Reese DeGoey all starting at the back of the field here tonight. And there's no one else in behind them as race controls are Anthony Visma, Lucas Burt and Greg Favell as always. So we'll see how this grid does in tonight's race, Scotty. It's going to be a big grid. It's going to be a big challenge for these drivers, and we'll see how they go off this start line.
Absolutely huge grid tonight, mate. Really, really good to see the turnout here for the split 2 drivers. They're turning it on. Have a look at these cars, just all formed back all the way back to the actual finish line, and even a little bit past it, Hamish, which is there is two lines here. You got the start line and you have the finish line, which is just after the walkover, the crossover there into pit lane and the track field there.
Well, what drivers are going to have to be careful of tonight, Scotty, is stalled cars on the line. It can cause big drama early, especially at this place where there's not much wiggle room off the start line. So drivers are either going to have to maximise their start to hope that they don't bog it down and stall the car. And they're also going to have to be wary of any cars that are stopped on the starting grid of this race. Scott Mackay, Matthew Scholes is going to be an interesting battle between them off this start line. Of course, Scholes, one of the most decorated drivers in the Split 2 history of a championship win. Scott Mackay is looking to be on his way to one of those as well. He's got some great pace about him. Lorne Mackay and Mick Clifton in behind him. Those guys are going to be dangerous here tonight off the second row of the grid. We'll see if they can challenge for that podium. John Gallen, Ed Fox as well. Those guys are quite quick, same with Rick Feiger. Daniel Sheriffs, I think, is pretty much the only one out of place at the front of the field. He's normally towards the back. He's had a great qualifying around here. We'll see if that's going to pay off for him in the races. Lights are going to go up. We're going to go racing here for round number 6 of season 20. As the revs start to rise here on the starting grid, we are go for Monza as they get off the line well, and everyone starts to spread on out down the main straight down towards turn 1. We'll see if any of them make a mistake through here, if they can keep it nice and tidy, Scotty, keep it nice and clean through the first 2 corners where we know there can be carnage early on.
Yeah, absolutely. The first 10 have got through there very nicely. A couple of little lock breaks, Hamish, but 2, 3 wide as they get through the exit of turn 2, and they file on down up to 3 and 4. This is absolutely beautiful. There's a little bit of a check-up there, Hamish. They're sorting themselves out. That's what we expected, but well done, Split 2. They've got through there absolutely beautiful on this first lap. Yeah,
they've done well just to try and keep it as nice and tidy as possible as they then come down towards turn 4 and 5. Such a difficult spot where we can see a lot of carnage happening through this race as drivers are trying to find any bits of room that they can get, any crumb they can pick up off the floor. They will take it as they come up towards turn 6 and 7. Such a fast-paced run up through here. We can see Brett Taylor struggling in the background as the mid-pack make their way through turn 7 now up towards Ascari for the fast run down the straight up towards 8, 9 and 10. It's a drag race down towards the braking zone, and well, these guys are going to have to hope that their brakes work at the end of this straight.
Yeah, what an absolute stellar start by Matthew Scholes. You talked about him at the start there, Hamish, but he got the jump on Mackay. Clifton went up a position as well, and yeah, really good starts there. But the top 10, only dropped one or two or gained one or two positions here at the moment as we look for a bit of an overtake there on the trying to think who they were there at the moment, the Accelerate Sim Racing teammates, Law Mackay and Mick Clifton.
We see Matty Scholes has taken the lead from Scott Mackay here as they start lap number 2 of 35. We can see top 36 cars on the road in the pecking order. Peter Baxter, a bit far down the field than he'd like to be here tonight. Same with Stacey Boyd. We expect those guys to try and make some gains throughout this field here across the next 30-odd laps in this race. Peters is already on the move. He's up 3 spots, and now inside the top 10, he's already picked off Daniel Sheriffs, who's had a bit of a horrid start here. He's already dropped outside the top 10 and is now under pressure from Mackenzie and Hoffman in behind him as they come up towards 4 and 5.
Yeah, Jamie Peters has to get on it here because there is a bit of a gap between him and Rick Viger, and I think Peters sensed that. He knew he had to get on with it. He's got to stay in that draft. Draft is absolutely crucial, and yeah, he got those overtakes done absolutely lovely and pushing forward.
On board now with Scott Mackenzie, who is trying to chase down Daniel Sheriffs ahead of him. You can see P11 on the road. He's right in front of him. Does not want to let Peters run away as they try and continue their run up forward. The off-track's already starting to come at this corner, Scotty. We can see the marks on the sand. And, well, they can really only afford to get one of those for the next 17 laps before they cop themselves a drive-through penalty. So they're going to have to be careful at that corner of not taking too much advantage on the exit and just trying to keep it nice and tight through there because they do not want to cop any more slowdowns because it will hurt them in the end. Adrian Zeal now trying to get past Scott Weston as well as Todd Duggan up the inside of the Scurry. Couldn't quite get there on Duggan that time by, but he has already moved up a spot into P23. Biggest mover so far in the mid-pack is Steve Lanyon. He's up 8 spots at the moment. Scotty looking to rise up the rankings. We know he's got pace. He's one of the championship contenders this season. He's had a poor qualifying and he has to try and make his way through the field if he hopes to challenge here tonight for the top step.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very poor qualifying by Lanyon standards. We expect to see him in the top 5. He's absolutely stellar driver, but he's making his gains now, Hamish. He's got a long way to go. He's if he keeps his cool head about it, he can get a very good result here tonight. I think a lot of these drivers that were in that P30 area, they've got an opportunity to get those good results. As we see that, I think it's that GMK new livery they're running there, Hamish, getting it side by side with Lanyon and coming off turn 2. Who's going to get the exit here? I think the car on the inside looks like Lanyon has got the drive nicely out of there. He's going to hold him just at bay there, Scotty Weston. He's looking to get on with it, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Lanyon is trying to move his way on up through the field. He's now up 9 spots in this race and into the top 25. He's got another big mover and shaker in this race in Michael Quain, who's up 6 spots ahead of him. Just pulling him along at the moment as they come through 4 and 5 there. You can see the train starting to form in behind these guys as they try and make their way through the field at the beginning of this race. And now he has Adrian Zeal in his line of sights as Quaney has made his way past the AJR driver of Adrian Zeal, who has had a couple of, relatively good performances this season, has Zeal, but has just struggled a little bit, in a couple of races. And it just seems that maybe it's the more high-speed tracks that he struggles at, but the more technical ones he does quite well.
Yeah, he has had a mixed fortunes this season, Hamish. It is that adapting to the split 2 environment. They race a lot closer, they race a lot harder. You've got to have those 1%ers ticked. Maybe a couple of times he's had some fuel issues as well, which carries over from his split 3 runs as we sit there and we're watching, looks like Lanyon is going to have a very good look on Adrian Zeal at the moment, especially coming into turn 1. But yeah, getting back to Adrian, he's a tough racer. I expect to see him come on well in a couple more races that we've got left of this season, Hamish, and hopefully he can show his form because he is getting faster. He can set absolutely some of the fastest one lap drives that we've seen, especially in practice. So look forward to him capitalising on that as the season goes on. As Lanyon gets it up on the inside, Adrian said, look, I'm not going to fight yet. There's no need to, but he might lose 2 positions here in 2 corners.
Yeah, it looks like he is. Scotty Weston's going to try and hang it around the outside of him in the background now. Lanyon is looking to move on up through this field. We'll check back with him later in this race. Further up the field, though, inside the top 10, We've got his teammate Steve Grumley, who's already up 2 spots and in behind John Gallen. Brett O'Brien's up 2 as well in behind him. So these guys have been making some solid gains. At the top 6, there have now been no changes as Scott Mackay has taken back the lead from Matty Scholes and now looks to try and run away from him. But this toe is going to be a big part to play. I don't really see Scott Mackay running away with it this time by. We know that he's done it at tracks like Road America, where he got about 20 seconds up the road from P2, but I think this toe is going to hold him in check here tonight, knowing how fast Matty Scholes is. He's not going to let him get away too quickly.
Yeah, he's got some good drivers behind him tonight. Very difficult, Hamish, I can tell you that, to break this toe. You can be a few tenths quicker, but it'll always bring him back into you. Really good to see Brett O'Brien. He sensed the urgency there to make that pass there on Viger, and yeah, he got it done because they were just falling at that 1 second behind. And yeah, so he got that pass done. He's going to look to push up all the way up to Steve Grumley.
Here's Lanyon. He's up now 11 positions. He's taken the position from Michael Quain now as he comes up towards the Parabolica here. You can see Crow stuck on the outside line. There's Fillingham. There's been a touch between them, and Crow is going to end up off the track. And unfortunately for him, he's going to have to wait now for the whole field to come past, as a lot of them are just trying to scramble round, and the carnage has already begun here. Fillingham's trying, it seems, to maybe redress this position here, but I mean, Crowley's lost a heap of spots. I don't know if it's worth even giving up the redress because he's likely going to get the penalty if they find it against him.
Yeah, at that stage, yeah, you just get on with it. I'd noticed Robert, who has had some great races, Hamish, but he was going backwards from the start of this race. So I'm not sure what's up there. Maybe got pushed around a little bit, got offline, maybe a slowdown. But yeah, he was really out of position to where he qualified. But he's got that early. He's the first one to pit stop, I believe, Hamish. So he's going for that early strategy. Why not? Got tangled up, get on a different strategy, see where it lands you.
Well, it's paid off for him in the past, has the undercut. It's probably one of the better tracks you can attempt it at based on the lap times. And if you can get into clean air, or if you get a partner to tow with and swap the tow, you can actually make up some free positions as drivers begin to battle here. We can see Gallen, he is urgently trying to get past Ed Fox. Fox is not going to make it easy for him, though, as they come through Ascari this time by. He is going to try and defend this as hard as possible. And Gallen, he's going to try and make the move as easy as possible for himself. So I expect the pressure to continue to be applied here to Fox, who's ahead of him, as Gallen tries to move up into the top 5 of this race.
Yeah, it looks like he's carrying a little bit of damage on that left-hand front fender there too, Hamish. So that may affect his top-end speed, although he's got that very tight line on the inside there. So he's going to get this job done. He'll get this side draft going down into turn 1. I expect him to get this job passed. He's looking very racy, driving extremely well across multiple series at the moment. So he's going to get this job done. But it will come down to whether Fox wants to give it up, because they've had some good battles, Hamish. And he's not going to give it up. And Ed Fox says, no, I'm on the brakes late. I want this position. And they're fighting tooth and nail here. But that's bringing Grumley, O'Brien and Viger right into the mix of this battle.
Yeah, they're going to have to be careful here, Scotty, that they don't let Clifton run away from him, because as soon as he gets out to 1.5 seconds, he's out of the tow range. And all of a sudden, these guys are battling between themselves, and they've got no way of being able to catch the top 4, who are going to continue to string along going forward underneath the toe. So the top 4 will be smart. They won't battle this out too much. They'll just keep on cutting laps, trying to build their gap as best as possible. If these guys start getting into it, they're going to see the top 4 go bye and running away from them. And you don't want that around here, because as soon as you lose that toe, it's really going to take a safety car for you to get back into it if you don't have the pure lap pace over the other drivers, probably by about a second per lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of toes, it looks like Mick Clifton from Accelerate Sim Racing, he's right on the cusp of losing this toe to those front 3 drivers. So he's going to have to get onto it. It is a big toe and a big distance toe. I know a lot of people go, oh, it's a second of that. But from my experience in driving on this track, I actually find it spreads out a little bit more the higher speed you go. And I often see you're getting a little benefit, marginal benefits even out to 1.6, 1.8 seconds. Oh, as you see the Simmericks car go hard into that corner there. And this could be a safety car, because there was a lot of smoke there, Hamish.
Yeah, that's Ray Smith, who's had a massive contact into the barrier off the back end of that, unfortunately for him. And this may be an early safety car for sure, Scotty. He's still parked up on the side of the road, and he may have just requested a tow as we come on to lap 7 of 35. And if they're going to get the safety car out, I expect majority of the field to come in for their first stop of this race. Now, I believe Robert Crow's the only driver to currently do a pit stop. He wouldn't come in now, though, surely, because he's still probably about 4 or 5 laps away from his critical lap, and that'd be a hell of a lot of fuel saving to try and get it home from this point, as a lot of drivers have come in, including Stoyles, Latham, Clark, Baxter, Zeal, Weston, Martin, Farrington, Barella, Taylor, Yo, Houghton, Boyd as well, and a couple others. So they are expecting safety car to get called off the back of that one, as it seems that Smith is still parked up on the side of the road down at Ascari.
Yeah, preemptive move on that one. When you see a car parked like that, you've seen that accident, absolutely. So they could make some gains there. We see another Singriggs car there, the 313 of Shepherd, who's been driving very well the last couple of rounds there, Hamish. But it looks like he had a little bit of an incident. I'm not sure exactly what went on. I didn't quite catch it. Maybe he caught a little bit of that inside curve, which can throw you. Although it looks like he's carrying a bit of damage on that left-hand side front bumper as well.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I think I saw on the reports possibly Luke Ullman was involved in something at around about the same time. Whether they're connected or not, we'll have to wait and see what race control say about that. As the safety car has been called, Scotty, so it's Racecraft Simulations safety car time for the first time in this race here tonight. And we'll see if these top boys come into the pits and claim their first CPS, as Mackay is going to be the telltale sign if they are, and he has come in. So I expect the majority of the field now to come in, and we're going to have to keep an eye on drivers who came in on the last lap, with the likes of Matt Stoyles leading that way, to see if they're actually able to gain anything off this, or if they're not pushing a bit harder to try and catch the front few.
This is going to be very interesting, Hamish, because these drivers at the front there that just pitted then, they're perhaps going to take a full tank here. These other drivers that pitted a lap earlier, did they take a full tank? So they've got an opportunity to make big gains and big track positions under this safety car. So the strategy, how they're going to make this play, it could really shoot some drivers up the order and really shuffle this order coming under the safety car for the restart. So very interesting to see the stop times in pit lanes for these drivers.
So the top 28 cars are all in pit lane right now. Every car underneath them has done a pit stop, as Ray Smith, I believe, is still waiting for his tow back to pit lane. And I do believe, is Robert Crow behind the safety car? He is, so he should actually get a wave around this lap, as he is technically a lap down on the leaders. I'm sure, though, he'd be hopeful he was going to get waved around before now, though, Scotty, surely, because at least then he could come back around onto the back of the train and not give up too much time to the rest of the field.
Oh, this is absolutely hurting him big time, Hamish. You know, to get trapped behind the safety car for that long. Yes, he is a lap down, absolutely a lap down. Hopefully he gets a wave around soon, because this has killed that undercut strategy that he had going.
Yeah, he would have been hoping to make some big gains of pretty much getting let past the safety car as soon as he caught it, so he could try and make up any time that drivers were missing out on in the pits. A couple of chats that we've had since we've been going here. Rebecca Bogan in the chat. Great to have you in there, Rebecca Bogan, or Bogan. Not 100% sure which way to pronounce that one. Chillin' Jervis Bay as well in the chat as well. Luke Coleman saying, I missed brake marker, hit the back of Shepherd, and we both spun. Okay, so that would explain that incident down at turn 4 and 5. We'll see if race control have anything to say about it, and if Luke was to cop a penalty off the back of that one or not, Scotty.
Yeah, how's that with Luke there from Team AGR owning it in the chat? Absolutely fantastic to see drivers do that. You know, they made a mistake and they own it and they learn from it. But you know, Luke has been driving very well, probably the best driver for Team AGR here in Split 2 over the course of this season. There's been some disappointing results. Dean Longsdale, I know he's fast. He's a super fast driver, Hamish. Just things haven't gone his way, but hopefully they do in the future. And Team AGR start pushing forward and start giving Luke some of that support well within that top 15, even top 10 of this Split 2.
Yeah, they've shown glimpses of hope for top 10 finishes this season. They've just had a little bit of bad luck thus far, and we'll see if it's going to pay off for them in the future. Maybe a couple more seasons in Split 2 will pay them dividends. They will become proper challengers for that top 10, possibly even for a championship as well, if they can get some good experience under their belts. Maybe get in a proper Split 2 driver in their team, or maybe even a former Split 1 driver in their team. That could really help them out in trying to make gains and trying to help build up the team a lot more and carry it more up towards the top end of town, instead of being just around about the mid-pack as what they currently look like, which is good, though, in their first season. Mid-pack of Split 2, very, very difficult to do in your first season, especially when it is arguably the most competitive Split 2 we've ever had, Scotty. And those guys are doing a fantastic job of trying to maintain that mid-pack spot and actually retain a Split 2 position.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the goals for anyone from Split 3 coming up to Split 2, should be around that top 20 finish. If you can get around there, you've had an absolute stellar season for your first season, going up a level, and same with the drivers that go from Split 2 up into Split 1. Hence why we talked about it earlier, because those drivers are doing very well. There's quite a few of there that have shown excellent, consistent results and getting rewards for it. So you're absolutely right, Hamish. It is a step up. It's a lot harder. These guys race a lot faster. You've got to have those 1%ers. I talk about it a lot, especially when people ask me about things. You've got to have those 1%ers ticked, and because we know the guys towards the front of this generally do have them ticked, well rehearsed, and they know what they're doing prior coming into the race.
So Robert Crowe has now been given his wave around at the front end of the field. One thing I was going to mention, actually, I forgot to mention for Scott Mackay, as his livery has now actually refreshed, he has actually changed teams, Scotty, from Veterans Gaming Australia. He's actually joined your former team of Evolution Racing Team, and so him and Brett O'Brien are now teammates, and he is no longer teammates with John Fillingham out on this track.
Yes, there was conversation of that in the background there, Hamish, and yeah, here it is before it even got released. He's got that livery on, quick smart. So congratulations to Scotty Mackay. I believe he'll probably still run in Team VGA events. They do like to do the iRacing special events, so perhaps he will still do them. But yes, he is now a ERT driver, and yeah, good on him. He's an ex-military man, so they lose one, and military lose whose name was Scott, and they gain one. So whose name is Scott. So yeah, well done to ERT, and I'm looking forward to how he'll go.
Are you feeling replaced by Scott Mackay right now, Scotty? I don't know. You feel like the hole has now been filled? But have they found a Robert yet to replace Robert Crowe or not? I mean, it's it's an interesting, pondering question for sure. But I mean, I mean, for anyone to pick out a Split 2, you probably couldn't have picked a better driver at this point. I mean, apart from maybe Steve Lanyon, who's pretty much joined at the hip with Steve Grumley at SLS. So those guys wouldn't really want to be going anywhere without the other. You've also got Spriggsy at Accelerate. I mean, Scotty Mackay is probably one of the more informed drivers they could have had join their team at this point.
Yeah, well, he was very lucky not to be in Split 1, Hamish. There was some dropouts in Split 3 that they had put another driver in, the next driver on the waiting list, who happened to be a Split 1 driver, a genuine top contender. He was last on the Split 1 list, so he went back. So
we won't also mention that it was your teammate Sean McNamara that put Scott Mackay back into this.
But yeah, very unfortunate. But at the same time, Hamish, it was his second season in V8 Vet, so I think it was a good move. This gives him the confidence, and look, he's got the rewards for it. He's got a great team. ERT are a fantastic team. They've got some fantastic drivers over there. Ethan Griggrell in the Pro Series, absolutely setting it on fire there at the moment, and is an elite driver. So he's got a good background. He got the experience of Brent O'Brien. He's been doing this game for a long time. So yeah, under some good guidance, Dan Hall in Vets, and Chad Lewis as well in Split 1. So he's got some good people around him to potentially progress. I do know that he may have some things coming up for next season. We may not see him on track, but I'm pretty sure we'll see him within race control or somewhere like that, still involved with Vets. So be interested to see how that unfolds, Hamish.
Yeah, I'll be honest with everyone, to pull back the curtain. I was told that Scott had changed teams. I refreshed my trading paints so I could have their trading paints liveries on the driver details. And then his livery popped up, and then it kind of clicked in my head. Oh yeah, John Van Ree told me that he changed teams. Probably should have done it before the race, so then we could have mentioned at the start. But it's okay. It worked out well. The safety car has pulled into pit lane, and we're going to get ready to go racing here once again as we come around onto lap 10 of 35. Here tonight. But yeah, Evolution, I mean, they've had a lot of great drivers in their time, of course. And I think Scott's just another one on the list, as he has now pulled away from the field. He's had a great start in comparison to Lorne Mackay. May have caught him napping just a little bit there, but he's done incredibly well. And you are right, John Lorne has jumped Matty Scholes in the pit lane. Another driver who's jumped a couple is Steve Grumley, who's now up to P4 on the road. did take a significantly shorter stop, though, than a couple other drivers. Daniel Sheriffs took a significantly shorter stop as well, as he's now also jumped up through the field too, and he's now back up into P7 on the road. So he's taken some track position, as there seems to be quite a lot of drivers in here in the braking zone. I noticed they're all kind of bogged up there into the braking zone, Scotty, and you can still see them in the background struggling to make their way through.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that when you get walked back, you know, one driver has a little bit of an incident there, and it just snowballs all the way through the field where everyone has to check up. But they got through there okay, Hamish. And yeah, I don't mind this strategy of people taking a little bit less fuel in that stop under that safety car to put themselves forward, and you know, they can get in there and save bulk fuel. They might get towed along by some faster drivers. They might be able to make a break with them if people in the mid-pack start fighting after this restart. So not a bad strategy of them. They're going to have to give back that time at some stage throughout this race.
As we come down towards the Scary once again, Jason Spriggs is now trying to line up a move on Simon Farrington here down towards turn 8, but Farrington is going to have the inside line at the next corner. Spriggs, he just has to pull out of it at that moment. Andrew Hoffman in behind them. He's taken a significantly longer stop than anyone else, so he's pulled the strategy of take as much fuel as you can under safety car, and if he has to do a green stop, he's going to have a fast one at the next pit stop here, as Ed Fox seems to have a slowdown penalty as he is trying to let everybody past him here, Scotty, but it seems he's doing it on the racing line at the moment, as he was on the outside of the track, but that is the more that is the better spot to be if you're coming down the straight. Possibly should have gone to the inside line to serve that slowdown.
Yeah, there is a rule there. You should get off the racing line, although I'm not sure he really could have got across
this
to
is,
the
this is true. This is true. It's like if he's trying to get across on a freeway. I mean, you have to wait for your moment, as they've had a bit of contact there. Fox has now ended up in the wall and is straight across turn 1-2 into Scott McKenzie. And this could be yet another safety car, Scotty, as a massive moment has occurred here, as Hoffy was trying to get past Ed Fox in towards the first corner.
Yeah, that is a big-time incident there, Hamish, and it was just a small tap, but what really escalated was where he hit that that wall on the left-hand, or on his right-hand side, but it looks like McKenzie has got his fired up, although I think Ed Fox is still stranded there, Hamish. So drivers can make it home from here. If this is a safety car, which I suspect if he doesn't get that started it is, you can make it home from lap 11 onwards.
Yeah, so it's going to be imperative now on who actually comes into the lane on this lap if the safety car is called, as Brendan Zatira had a little bit of a dropout then. I thought he might have been dropping down the order from an incident, but he wasn't. He just had a little blink, as I do believe safety car has possibly been called, as he is now out on track. So we were barely green for a lap, and the Racecraft Simulations safety car is now back out there on the circuit. So it's going to be important now if these front guys come in, or if they want to try and go a bit longer on this set of tyres and maybe hope for another safety car and build some gap before they come in again. As Mackay comes around the final corner, he's going to stay out on track, so is Lorne Mackay. Matt Scholes as well. Grumley comes in. This could be a race-winning move for Steve Grumley, but he's going to have to look after these tyres for the rest of this race now, Scotty.
Yeah, it is. I don't mind coming in now, get the pit stop done. It's a really, really 50-50 call here, Hamish. Do you stay out? You've only just got going again. Perhaps the track position is on their mind. It'll be interesting to see where Grumley comes out and feeds back into this pack, because like we talked about earlier, being in that mid-pack sometimes, that can create something, create a little bit of drama and make it a little bit difficult to get through, which will allow Mackay and McKee and Scholes and Viger and Stalls and all them to be able to just push on forward and perhaps wash off some of that advantage that he may get.
Well, the top-seeded driver at the moment to have done 2 stops is Brenton O'Brien, who's coming ahead of Mick Clifton and Jamie Peters. So the shortest stop before for Steve Grumley, I mean, it seeded him still what could be provisional P4 on the road, depending on how these pit stops occur now for the front end of town. But he could possibly actually lose quite a few positions now based on that, seeing as he's given free positions to O'Brien, Clifton and Peters in this second stop. So I think if the race went on a bit longer, he may have given up more than he has currently. But now it's going to have to be a big job for Steve Grumley to make his way up towards Brenton O'Brien and challenge for that provisional lead. But it's not all over just yet, because if if those drivers such as, Scott Mackay, Andrew Hoffman, who's looking like he's actually filled the car on that first stop. If he goes as long as possible and all of a sudden there's a safety car that falls right when he needs it, he could actually be the big gainer out of this, because he'll only need a very, very short stop, and he won't be doing it under green flag conditions, and he may actually be able to build some gap over those other guys who've already done 2 stops now.
Yeah, very interesting how this is going to play out, especially with O'Brien. He's P18. It's not a great track position to be in, but he is fueled to the end, and that is crucial. So there is time to be made there, time to gain. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Hamish, Jamie Peters as well, he's fueled to the end. P20 by the looks of it, so he's made some good time up as well.
So we had a couple more comments as well. Luke Ullman saying it was a hard decision not to pit. I think at that point there, Scotty, it's a 50-50 really on if it's actually going to be beneficial. We've had 2 safety cars in the span of a couple laps as drivers are now moving over to let Ray Smith passed on his wave around. Of course, Ed Fox won't be getting his one as he has technically caused the safety car to come out. It's a flip of the coin really, because you could either determine, do I want to go 25 laps on one set of tyres for the rest of this race and have to nurse the tyres, or do I go a bit longer, hope there's another safety car, or hope I can build some gap before I need to pit, and then hopefully not lose too many positions on this next pit stop in this race?
Yeah, well, if you're the ones that didn't pit, you don't want another safety car at all. You want to extend that lead. You want to go flat out. So I understand why Mackay and all them did not pit, because they've got outright pace here, Hamish. So why not use it? Why not try and make a break? Pray there isn't another safety car. If there is, we'll see them fall backwards, I think, especially if we see one within the next 10 or so laps.
Apparently there's a rumour being spread around by one Dame Palmer in the chat, of course notable nephew of Andrew Hoffman, that he could be joining Team AJR in the future.
Well, that would be an interesting one and an interesting develop there for Team AJR. But, Hoffy's with Southern Cross Racing. We see him coming in doing his second pit stop here, Hamish. So that's an interesting call. That's what you were talking about with some of these other drivers potentially being able to do it under safety car and not lose too much time. But yeah, if Hoffy goes over to Team AJR, I'm sure they'd love him. The New Zealanders, they're all Kiwis over there. He might fit right in. They see the Southern Cross over there too. So yeah, let's see if there is any truth to the rumour as the season unfolds, mate.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Bruce McLeod in the chat saying we only had one safety car in split 3. I'm expecting at least 2 more to come in this race. It's looking likely, Bruce. I mean, these drivers are looking quite feisty out on track, and they're looking pretty racy, but they're also, they're looking like, some of these have been a little bit avoidable. First safety car, that was a bit of driver error from Ray. He just caught some sand and put it into the wall. The second incident, I think, was a little bit avoidable, Scotty. They had a bit of overlap with each other, and all of a sudden, Ed's in the wall and then unable to stop the car and just collided into the front or into the side of Scott McKenzie, who was unfortunately just a passenger at that point. And he had nowhere to go. So I think the first safety car, technically, yes, was avoidable. It was just a mistake by Ray's behalf. I think the second one was more avoidable on the fact of there was a lot more track room for Hoffy to give to Fox off that one. And I think, maybe if he was just a little bit more cautious off that restart, it may not have actually occurred.
Well, there is something there, Hamish. The split 2 drivers have been topping the penalty sheets over the last few rounds, so perhaps there is something there that maybe they need to look at. But, that's history. We can only look forward from here. So hopefully they'll get themselves sorted. Yes, you're right, they're unavoidable. Perhaps they'll learn from it. Penalties will be given, I have no doubt, but yeah, there is a high penalty list going around and a lot of licence points going around that really will impact your season's championship. So perhaps we need to look at that a little bit too as drivers. But we've got Mackay there. He's in behind that safety car. Safety car should come in this lap, Hamish.
Yeah, I'd say so. Either this lap or for sure the next. As Lorne Mackay is looking to just stay out from behind Scott Mackay at the moment. No relation between them, of course. Their last names are just pronounced the same. It was easier when I didn't know that Lorne Mackay's name was pronounced Mackay. I could just say McKee and I wouldn't get confused between them. Nonetheless, though, I would prefer to pronounce them correctly, of course. So, yeah, I'd say safety car, most likely in this lap. You don't want to keep it out there for too long. Everyone's back on the pack now. It's just Ed Fox who's waiting to come out of pit lane, who's only just coming out of pit lane now. Ray Smith has done his wave around. It is now on the back of the train. So I'd say, yeah, safety car likely in this lap as he is pulling away. So we are going to get racing once again on this next lap, Scotty. And Scotty Mackay is going to have control of the field once again. And we'll see if he can try and break that 12 Lorne Mackay and start to run away with this thing. But Matty Scholes is still there. So is Rick Viger. So all these guys are in contention. But it's whether that pit stop and not taking it is going to make or break their race in this one here tonight.
Be interesting to see if Mackay holds him up. He held him up just before the turn into the last turn here at the Carabolica last time round, Hamish, on the restart. So it'll be interesting if he goes with the same strategy. You can have overlap from the apex to the start finish line. It's only short start finish line. So if drivers did read the supplementary regulations, they'd be well aware of that, Hamish, and yeah, we should see some overlap right about now. I would be putting it right up there, mate, as those curbs does end the apex of that overlap. So perhaps they could be side by side. As we see Mackay, he gets it going early. He's gone from the exit of the Carabolica, and he's going to lead him back up into turn one on this restart as we cross the line for lap 14. Hopefully we get through here cleanly.
Well, they're looking feisty, they're looking racy all throughout the field. We can see Peter Latham in the background here. Farrington, his teammate, was eyeing up a move on Matt Stoyles up ahead. He's now got Shepherd on his inside. Sheppo has been a man on a mission tonight here, Scott. He's been trying to get moves done down at turn one this whole race. He's up 10 spots. Vandermeulen's up 14. Latham's up 27. Rushworth's up 35. Yoa's up 27. Cullen's up 29. Boyd's up 15 at the moment. Farrington's up 21. Zatira's up 16. Stoyles is up 10. All those guys do need pit stops, though, in this race. But they have made some big gains so far, and we'll see if it is going to pay off for them in this one as they come in towards 4 and 5 once again. And, I mean, you know, we mentioned before there was contact with Sheppo and Ullman at the start of the last safety car of the first one. Ullman, though, hasn't really gained too much on him at this point. He's only one spot. There's only one spot that really separates them in Sean Vandermeulen. So Sheppo hasn't relatively lost too much, but maybe he would have been up a little bit further if that contact hadn't have happened, as Rushworth is blinking poorly in the background right now. Just dropping frames, apparently. But those restarts look nice and clean. We'll see if it's going to remain this way, if we're going to be under safety car once again. But these boys are looking nice and tidy at the moment here off this restart. I think we may have a nice little long period of racing, maybe 5 to 10 laps, Scotty. And if we're going to get another safety car, it may happen around about the next pit stop for these drivers at the front end of the field.
Yeah, I'm really liking this nice little battle, 8, 9 and 10, Allman and Vandermeulen and Shepherd. Last time I looked, Shepherd, yeah, like you mentioned, he got turned there and he was back in P18, so he's made some massive ground here to be into the top 10. Same as Luke Allman from Team AGR. He's managed to get himself back up. Sean Vandermeulen over at Nova Simsports, I know that he has been working very, very hard on his sim. He's been getting some good results in other leagues as well. So expect to watch him for the remainder of the season. We'll see how things pan out tonight as we see him coming through the exit of turn 2 nicely and smoothly onto that throttle there, Hamish. Up through the gears here as you go under the Fly Emirates sign, heading up through 3, keeping it nice and tight on the inside there, Hamish, maximising his speed. Try not to turn the wheel as much. We're braking just as we hit this bridge here, all the way back down into second gear. Can cut a lot of curb, get half the car over the curb, get it nicely rotated. He's doing very well. Got that beautifully onto the throttle. Get up into 3rd, 4th. Very key corners here, Hamish, as you enter into 6. Got to get onto the throttle early on the exit, same as 7. Got to get on that throttle early. We talked about it in the opening of the broadcast. Maximising your exit speed as we fly up through the gears. We're going to get all the way up to 6 gear, really big braking zone as we head up into the last chicane on this corner. We see Allman, he's having a little look on out the front there, all the way back to 3rd, Hamish. Cut a little bit of this handicap curve there. We see the Vermeulen take it in nice and tight on the right-hand side, cut it on the left, get on that throttle, run it wide, use all the track. Now, all the way over onto the grass there, using that exit well across the white line. Absolutely beautifully done as we head up to the last turn here. Turn left, Carabolica. We see Allman having a look up the inside there. He wants to get this move done. Sean's in the box seat to capitalise on this. If he gets to run down here, Hamish, out of this last turn in this draft, we know it's big. He may be able to get a position.
Well, if he can sit in this draft here, he may be able to maximise on Ullman and Farrington. They're looking feisty right now. Farrington covered that inside line on Ullman at the Parabolica as they come up towards turn 1 and turn 2, and Vandermillen just not quite close enough to dip his nose in between both of them there at turn 1. He's going to have to follow them around for yet another lap here of this Monza circuit. One thing I'm actually quite surprised at, Scotty, is the Lesmo curves at turns 6 and 7 actually hasn't claimed any victims so far in this race. We haven't seen anyone catch any grass on the exit of 6, catch too much sand on the exit of 7, and actually end up in the wall. We've seen that previously at this track. They've actually been quite lucky here tonight as Farrington's trying to line something up here on Zatira up ahead of them, as I believe Ray Smith has been caught up in another incident in the background, unfortunately, but he is still going here. Just a little bit of front end damage on that car now. So luckily for him, he hasn't been caught out too hard by anything. As Scott Mackay leads them down towards Ascari once again, with Lorne Mackay in behind him, who has set the fastest lap of the race last time by with a 1:47.45. Matty Scholes is on the verge of dropping off the toe here. He's only 1.2 seconds off the back of Lorne Mackay now. And he's trying to sit up on the back of him. He does not want to let him run away.
Yeah, these two drivers, Mackay and Mackay, they're absolutely skipping away with this. You're right. Scholes has to push on. Viger, he's out of that draft now from Scholes back there in P4. So there's a couple of big gaps, Hamish. I'm very, very surprised between P3 and P7 Farrington. There's some big gaps there starting to form. So it'll be interesting to see how they play at the moment. I'd imagine Mackay and Mackay, a beautiful place there in Queensland, far north Queensland, Mackay. You've got the islands out there. Absolutely been blessed to spend a little bit of time there throughout my time, Hamish, and recommend anyone up there absolutely go check it out. It's a beautiful part of the world. But we're having a look back here at Zeal, Spriggs, Quain. This is a nasty little battle pack going. These guys do not want to give up. We know Spriggs is super, super fast. Expect him to push forward.
Yeah, he's going to try and make some big, big gains. And this race is already up 17 positions in this one. And he has taken 2 compulsory pit stops in this race. So those are naturally progressed positions. As he gets past Adrian Zeal, he's had a bit of contact here with Michael Quain into turn 1, but they still keep on going off the exit of 2. These guys are side by side, still up towards turn 4 and 5, and they're going to keep this fight going. I mean, Quainey and Spriggs, these guys have been going at it pretty much ever since round 2 when Spriggsy joined us here in split 2, but Michael Quain, I mean, round 1 he had a mega effort, but he's just been unlucky over the last 4 rounds. Scotty, he hasn't really been around anywhere as Spriggs has had contact into the front of him. And it looks like Fisher was also involved as well as Mark Houghton possibly. He's had some big contact on his car. A massive blow up between them as they're now getting into the doors of each other at turn 6 for the Lesmos. The guys in behind, though, of Clark and DeGoey need to be careful not to get caught up in this now, as these guys are starting to get into an arm wrestle as Reese DeGoey's run it wide into the sand. That'll be another off track, as so did it looked like Robert Crow in the background as well. So these guys are getting feisty, Scotty, and we may not be too far away from another safety car if they can't rein this in.
Yeah, that has really compromised Adrian Zeal here because it opened them up. He was in the draft of those guys. This here now has, he's got no one to draft off, so he's going to come under fire very, very quickly, especially with the likes of Halton, Fisher, Clark, Grumley, Logsdale, his own teammate, who are behind him, well within draft range. So this is turning into a big line of us turn behind Zippy there, and he'll be well aware of it.
This is like a Pan-American train right now, about 20 odd cars in a line just following each other around this Monza circuit. Peter Latham and Michael Yob brought their cars into pit lane, so they mustn't have put enough fuel to really get past this lap. Unfortunately for them, they're not going to give up a heap of spots in this race as they have had to do a pit stop under green flags, and they're now going to drop down towards the back of the field. Robert Crow's had to bring his car into pit lane once again, so he seems to have actually caught a bit of damage. So has Michael Quain off the back of the incident earlier on. Wayne Shepherd, though, has now made a move on Toddy Duggan, and he now moves up into the top 10, still up 10 positions in this race, but looks ahead to Toddy's teammate and Sean Vandermillen to continue this fight going. So there's a couple of little trains starting to form here at the front end of the field. Then there's a bit of a gap between them and the mid-pack, and the rest of the field and behind them are all on a train as well.
Yeah, mate, I'm just still trying to clear my thoughts from that 333 bonnet of Adrian Zeal, Shane Patterson on the front of it, mate. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Shepherd is driving beautifully. To be able to gain that back, I'm really impressed with him. the way Luke Ormond's driving Vandermeulen. This is a really nice pack here of drivers that have cleared out from those others behind them, I guess. They're still within the draft, but as we see him coming through here, that's a beautiful line to take through there by Luke Ormond. Yeah, he's driving well at the moment. Be interesting to see if he gets the move done here on Farrington. He's going to have a little look up the inside, Hamish. I think they're going to argue. Farrington has moved over a little bit. He doesn't want to give this up. And thinking of drivers that are driving well tonight, Absolute Faz is driving his wings off that car. He's the green wheels as you see him coming into pit stop here. A lot of drivers filing into pit stop, Hamish. Have we missed something here? Is this another safety car call?
It is indeed, Scotty. It is another Racecraft Simulations safety car. So someone has been caught out by the issues that have occurred, and it is Jason Spriggs on the exit of turn 4 and 5. So we saw him cop the contact on the last lap, and he hasn't actually gotten going again off that corner. And this is now the reason why we are under safety car once again. And all of a sudden, the favourites have now changed for the win of this race. All of a sudden, it's the drivers who have to go 25 laps on a set of tyres who are now in the hot seat to win this one, including Brent O'Brien, Mick Clifton, Jamie Peters. We said to look out for him here tonight. John Gallen, Steve Lanyon as well. These guys have now made up genuine positions in this race and are now well inside the top 10 and have an opportunity to take not only a win, but also a podium finish here tonight. And it's going to be all to play for these guys. I mean, Peters is up, O'Brien's up 9, Peters is up 10, Lanyer's up 29 positions, Sipple's up 31, Boyd's up 25, but he needs another stop. Zeal, who's in P10, is up 14 positions. Verme, who's in 9th, is up 9 positions. The only 2 drivers in this top 10 at the moment who started in the top 10, Daniel Sheriffs and Mick Clifton, and they have taken their 2 compulsory stops. So that shows you that the drivers who stayed out under that second safety car have lost out here. Yes, they will have the fresher tyres at the end, but they're going to have to fight back for it through the whole field.
Yeah, that hurt him. Such an early safety car after the last safety car, Hamish. Very, very much hurt him. It's going to be a little bit of a fuel save for these drivers, especially with ones towards the front. So we'll have to watch that because you do use a hell of a lot more fuel when you're that lead car. And, so Clifton and Peters, they're in a very good position to be able to save some fuel here, same as Lanyon and Sipple. Sipple, as you know, follow him quite a lot within the way he's going here, up 31 positions into P6, mate.
I've just noticed as well, Ray Smith has unfortunately towed back to pits for some reason. And I do believe, Toddy Martin's got some big damage on the front of his car at the moment. I think there may have been some contact as drivers came out of the pit lane. I'm not 100% sure. Shepard's down a couple of spots. He's got some big damage on the front of his car. His car was completely clean before that last pit stop. So I think there's been a bit of kerfuffle at the back end of the field. And a couple of drivers have been involved as the safety car was called, Scotty. So I'm sorry that we've missed this. But, yeah, quite a few cars have been affected by that. I'm not 100% sure what's happened in that one. But that's taken out a couple of drivers for contention. I mean, Heddersheet, who's had some great pace, as unfortunately, I mean, he's still back in P24 up a couple of spots. Shepard's though down 9 after the pit stop. Unfortunately, he's apparently has been held up. Same for the likes. I mean, Ray Smith, he was trying to have a good comeback and he's just been taken out of contention. And then I think Toddy Martin was also involved, as I mentioned. So a couple of drivers have been involved in that one. We did miss it, unfortunately, but we look ahead to the safety car restart. And crucially, Ed Fox is now going to get his lap back on the field as he gets his wave around now.
Yeah, that's good for Ed Fox to see him get around. We know he's a fast driver. He was racing quite aggressively and defending it, but also making moves before he got into that incident there, Hamish. What I do know is race control do not look fondly upon front to nose and rear end contact under a safety car. So if there has been some contact there, I'd expect that to be getting looked at pretty harshly, but we'll have to check on the penalties and see what happened on that one, Hamish, because unfortunate missed it, but hopefully their cars are not too bruised that they can get on with it and still have a long way to go in this race.
Yeah, they've still got a long way to go. We're only on about lap 20, so they've still got about 15 laps to go. Some of these drivers have been on these tyres for 9 laps now, more than they've ever been on a set of tyres in this race so far. And they'll be feeling the heat right now on those tyres, so it's going to be crucial for them to mitigate that tyre wear, maybe save a little bit of fuel, and just try and get to the end, because if they can get to probably the last 5 laps and have a good set of tyres on their car, they'll be ripe to put the pressure on other cars around them to try and pick up any easy positions. If those other cars have been in tight battles and have been pushing their cars a little bit too hard, because their tyres will be screaming by the end of this race. So if they can look after that rub up, they're going to be very, very well off by the time the checkered flag flies.
Yeah, it is a high tyre wear track. It does give an opportunity under this safety car for them to cool down a little bit. They'll feel good for the next 3-4 laps, Hamish. But yes, the fall off will be greater than those who have pitted, and it'll be drastic. They'll know that they've got 20 plus lap tyres on them. So it'll be interesting how they manage it. I think they may also need to manage a little bit of fuel. That'll be a heavy fuel save at the moment, perhaps clutching in 5th gear, perhaps turning the ignition off and on as you while you're clutching to get up there. Just save as much as you can. And to get yourself home, especially if you're towards the front, you're going to be pushing harder. Where you're driving faster. You've got those lap times, so you use more fuel. Be interesting to see how they manage it. But I'd expect we'd go green this lap, Hamish.
Yeah, I don't think we're too far away from a green flag call. Ed Fox is just about onto the back of the field. He'll catch them probably by around about a scurry, so he won't be too far away off the back end of the field. Safety car will then pull away. Jason Spriggs will not get a wave around in this race. Unfortunately, Ray Smith is out of this race after towing back to pits without permission. A misclick on the wheel, it seems. But yeah, I mean, a couple of drivers who've now been taken out of contention after some unfortunate starts to this race. Robert Crowe, Wayne Shepherd, Scott Weston, Ed Fox, who we mentioned, John Fillingham, Michael Quain, Brendan Zatira. They're all down at the back end of the field and unfortunately are relatively out of contention for this race. Andrew Rushworth, who's up 11 spots at the moment, he's up into P36 on the road. You can see him at the bottom of the timing tower. He's had a bit of a difficult one as well. Farrington's now dropped spots thanks to pitting on the third safety car, not coming in under the second safety car. Same for Luke Ullman and Matt Stoyles as well. So our big contenders at the front of the field right now, Scotty, who we kind of have to look at as possible race winners in this one, of course, Brenton O'Brien. McClifton is a surprising one to me. Jamie Peters could be on for a surprising podium if he can pull this off. John Gallen, Steve Lanyon, who are 2 of the championship favourites right now, they could be on for a win. Troy Sipple could be on for one hell of a run home to this championship season. Boyd needs that pit stop. Sheriff's, he qualified in P8, but I think he's just out of sync in terms of the ability of the cars around him. He had some good pace in qualifying. Hasn't really shown it throughout this season, unfortunately. Peter Vermeer's the same. Adrian Zeal's on a bit of a rise up the rankings. Mark Houghton's a little bit out of sync as well. And then Fisher and Clark. So I'd say out of that top 15, Grumley's in that top 15 and so is Logsdale. Out of that top 15, I think my favourites right now is between O'Brien, Gallen and Lanyon to possibly take this race win here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. There's quite a few drivers in here that could do it. Really good to see Dean Logsdale, Team AGR. He's up into P15, Hamish. Talking to drivers who have been unlucky throughout the season, maybe made a couple of bad calls on track. But this could be a confidence building, an uplifting race for him. He's up in a P15 now. He's got the run home. Watching Brenton O'Brien here, he's holding this crew up. He's holding this lineup long time. So be interesting to see when he gets that foot down. He's got the lead of it. He's coming around the last turn, leading in, still holding him, Hamish.
Yeah, he is. He's not gone as early as what Scott Mackay previously did in this race. He was normally going about the Fly Emirates sign. O'Brien has gone now as they come up towards turn 1 once again. Lap 21 of 35. 15 laps to go in this one. We'll see if they survive 15 laps or if we have yet another safety car out on track. O'Brien's going to be under massive pressure from Mick Clifton off this restart. Lanyon's already putting the pressure on Gallen down and towards turn 1 as well. We'll see if he pulls it off here through turn 1 and 2. He seems to have done it. Gallen's had to give it to him. And now Lanyon has in his sights Jamie Peters up the road from him, who's just trying to hang with the big boys of Clifton and O'Brien at the front of the field right now. This top 5 are in for a tight battle towards the end as Sipple hopes to hang on to them as well as Peter Vermeer back impaired on the road at the moment.
Yeah, if Gallen plays this smart, he could get Lanyon to take him up towards the front here. Lanyon's been on fire. He's done probably the most overtakes that we've seen. Genuine overtakes I'm talking about there, Hamish, on track. So, yeah, if I was Gallen at the moment, I'd be just staying with Lanyon and seeing where it takes me. He's well within it. And, he's up into P4. Gallen's into P5. There's some really good results on track. as we see these top 5, 6, 7 drivers. They've sort of already made a little bit of a break, Hamish, which I'm surprised about. It's not a big break, but the gap between 7 and 8 is already out to 1.4 seconds.
Yeah, they're really starting to make a move now. It seems that Verme got past Sheriffs, and that's now allowed Boyd and the others to really start pushing ahead as these guys have gotten into a bit of a battle at the moment. Damon Fisher is in behind Mark Houghton at the moment as they try and make their way back up through the field. Fisher is up 17 positions in this race. He's got Roy Clark alongside, who's up 26 spots in this race. Down towards the Parabolica they come. Clark tucks it up the inside, gets the move done on Damon Fisher into the final corner. He's now got Grumley all over the back of him as they come onto the main straight, and all of a sudden Fisher is under pressure to lose a couple of spots here early on off this restart as they come onto lap 22, and they're all spread out across the main straight of this track now down towards the braking zone of turn 1, 2. Houghton's involved as well, and we'll see if this ends up getting through clean or if any issues occur between them down towards the first corner. They make their way through now. Grumley's stuck on the outside line. He's had a bit of a dip there in connection as they look to continue on. And well, after some of the stuff that's happened in this race, Scotty, it's pretty close quarters for these guys right now, and I'd be a little bit worried in the car being so close quarters with some of these drivers, because they are looking feisty, they are looking racy, as Fisher's trying to get it done down the inside of Houghton, and Grumley's been caught up in the smoke as well as Fisher tried to get it done. Grumley didn't even know he was there. They both ended up in the sand, and they both ended up dropping a heap of spots.
Yeah, that was a big move and went shallow. We see a Racecraft. That might be
Farrington.
Faz. He's turned around there. He'll get this back underway, but has to wait for them all to get through. Unfortunate for the Faz. He's been enjoying his race, and watch out, player one, as he comes through. He just got that done. What a jump over the curve there. He may have a slowdown from it. I'm not sure. Looks like he's taken that inside line, but wow.
Any shallower he would have collected Farrington. Then he was so lucky that he decided to cut the curb almost by an entire car length, as Fisher's now trying to make back up positions after losing a heap here, as Clifton is now got Lanyon getting past Peters in behind, so Lanyon's now up into a podium position. Peters will try and hook onto the back of him here and hope that he can drag him along ahead past Mick Clifton and Brenton O'Brien up towards the front of the field as they start lap 23 of 35. And Peters has gone for a move here on Lanyon down towards turn number 1. He went for the inside line. Lanyon tried to cover. Peters is going to try and get this done through turn 1. Lanyon's going to try and cover him here as Gallen looks to pick up the pieces. He tucks it up the inside at 2. And all of a sudden, Peters' assault has cost him in position, and he now sits P5 on the road.
He's looking very racy, Jamie Peters, at the moment. He absolutely wanted that position, and what confidence to send it on. You know, Lanyon, who we know has had the most wins in this split 2 category, mate. And yeah, what a move by Jamie Peters to send it up. Didn't pay off this time. Yes, Gallen got past him. He's under pressure by Sipple, but he's still in the hunt there. And hats off, mate, and respect goes out for that move. That was well and truly on, and yeah, they done well. Done very well, Hamish.
It was very, very daring of Peters, but I think if you're in a position like this, you're out of sync a little bit with where you would think to be seated. You've got to go for those daring moves sometimes. You've got to try and take what you can, well within reason, of course, well within the rule set. And if you're confident enough, you go for the move, surely. I mean, if you're not confident in the move, you don't go for it. But as long as you are fully confident, 9 times out of 10, you will get out of it unscathed. He's given up a position, but at least the car's clean, it's straight. He's still within this top 5 battle as they continue on up towards the Parabolica once again. They're going to start lap 24 when they cross the line, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be 12 laps to go. 12 laps of intense battling between these cars as Clifton has now got Steve Lanyon all over the back of him as they come around the Parabolica to start this next lap. And how long do we see Clifton surviving here? Because Lanyon's looking pacey, so's Gallen, and Jamie Peters is looking quite racy here tonight. He's had relatively an easy run so far, but these guys are hungry to make up positions. I mean, Lanyon's up 31, Peters is up 8. I mean, Gallen's up 2 at the moment. He started inside the 10. Sipple's up 31. You know, these guys are hungry for more and more positions. Clifton's out of sync where he would normally be placed on track. How long do you see him surviving in this position?
I think Clifton's driving absolutely beautifully tonight there, Hamish. He's put the car in a great position. He's staying with Brenton O'Brien, the most experienced driver in the V8 Vets here. So Yeah, he's driving absolutely beautifully. We do know Brenton's probably on a bit of a fuel save. He's the lead car. He's going to have to save where he can. But, you know, Um, I'm not sure. As we see, he's picked up a bit of grass. Langley's going to get it. Is that a slowdown? Did he pick up a slowdown there? Perhaps he's back all the way back to fifth there, sixth. He's going to drop right on the back end. He may even drop a spot to Boyd as he's side by side there at the moment with Simple. So hopefully he can clear that. But any one of these 7 drivers, Hamish, they're all within it. There's a 5-second gap between 7th and 8th on track at the moment.
We're on board now with Troy Sipple, who's going to try and sit in the tow with Jamie Peters up ahead of him. He's got about an 8/10 gap up to him, or almost a 9/10 gap now up to that top 4 battle. Brenton O'Brien is trying to break that tow as best he can up ahead of them because he knows that Lanion's got pace. He knows that Lanion is hungry for another win this season. He's taken 2 thus far. Oh, sorry, no, he's taken 3 thus far. I should apologise. He took the double at Belle Isle and then took another one this season as well. So he's had 2 round wins, 3 race wins. And he's hungry for a championship as Steve Lanyon, but he's going to have to contest with Gallen as well as O'Brien for the win of this race. And don't forget about Peters. He's hungry for this. He's got some good pace, and he's well within the fight as well. So any one of these guys could take this win, as Gallen's going to try and get it done round the outside of Lanyon now, down towards turn 1. Can he get this thing hooked up through the corner? We'll see it on the exit of 2. Lanyon and Gallen, these guys are still going at it, and Lanyon has survived off this one, but Peters is now all over the back of John Gallen. And this top 4 battle is continuing as O'Brien is about 1/10 away from breaking that toe. Oh, he'll be absolutely sweating right now until he can break it from Lanyon in behind.
Oh, he'd be seeing this going on in the mirrors, and he would be saying, come on, boys, keep fighting. Come on, Gallen. Send it back on Lanyon again, because he needs that break. They're out to 1.5. They're right on the edge of losing this tow, Hamish. So if Brent O'Brien's got anything left in that fuel tank, he would be put to the floor now to try and break him. If he can break him, it makes it so much more harder for those behind in Lanyon, Gallen, Peters to be able to get on. We know this draft is big. So, yeah, he would be concentrating down. It's out to 1.6. Can he break him? Let's hope so. It looks like he's going to get this done, especially if Gallen and Lanyon are fighting and Peters. This is turning into a great battle pack here, Hamish. I'm really loving what we're seeing.
It's becoming an absolute cracker of a battle at the front of this field. Brent O'Brien is trying to break this toe as best he can, but I reckon he's copped a slowdown, Scotty, because all of a sudden he has dropped about 2/10 back to Gallen and Lanyon as they go side by side into the Parabolica. Gallen's going to get it done up the inside of Lanyon. He was smart about that. He gave the position to him. He's now going to sit back in the toe, and they're going to work together to get onto the back of Brenton O'Brien. They do not want to let him run away. They don't want to get in too much of a battle here as they continue on in this train. Look at Steve Lanyon. He is bump drafting John Gallen down the main straight of Monza here as Peters is going to try and take advantage and get up the inside of them down towards turn 1. He has to back out of it at this point, but that's smart play there from Lanyon to bump draft Gallen down the straight to try and close that gap up to Brenton O'Brien in P1 at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Lanyon senses the urgency here, same as Gallen. That's why Gallen said, hey, let me take a little bit of a go. I'll be the lead pack. Let's go chase that ERT car. Lanyon's on board with it. Credit to Peters. He went for the move and then realised what was going on, and he backed out of it and said, okay, boys, you take me up there too. So all these drivers are starting to work together. Brenton O'Brien, he's got the target on his back there in the Logitech car. He's well aware. He's been in this position before, Hamish. He's going to be working those fuel numbers. He's going to be working where he can make ground, where he cannot. How can he capitalise and make an advantage here till he's so close to breaking this draft, holding him at that 1.3, 1.4 seconds. But John Gallen, to send it on Lanyon like he did, Hamish, wow, that was an incredible move as we headed into turn 11, the Parabolica.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable move from John Gallen. And right now, Brenton O'Brien is in ultra fuel save mode as he tries to break this toe from John Gallen. As he comes onto the back straight out of Ascari up towards the Parabolica. He is just hoping and praying that he can get this Evolution Racing Team machine to the line in this race without another pit stop here tonight. It's lap 26 of 35. Sorry about the little blink there on O'Brien's car. Bit of a poor connection on that one as he comes around the Parabolica. The gap's now down to 1.1 seconds for John Gallen. He's within tow range of Brendan O'Brien at the front of the field. All pressure is on the Logitech G car here at the front of the field in the 26 Commodore. And John Gallen can smell the blood in the water. He knows he can catch O'Brien. The gap's now down to less than a second for the lead of this race. And O'Brien has got 5 fast approaching cars in behind him who do not appear to be fuel saving right now, as the gap is less than a second. And he is under pressure from this tow, Scotty, and he's under pressure from John Gallen and Steve Lanyon right now.
Yeah, I was just looking at the time. He's their last lap around. O'Brien, a 48.8. Gallen, a 48.4. 4 tenths in one lap he took out of O'Brien towards the front. He is on fire, Gallen. He's on a mission tonight, and he's definitely looking at that ERT Commodore.
Well, it is maximum pressure for Brendan O'Brien right now. John Gallen is on the assault to try and close down this gap. We have to do it. We haven't done it just yet in this race. We've got a Racecraft Simulations advertisement to come before we get to the final 5 laps of this race, before we get to the final run home to the end of this one. This ad break's brought to you by Racecraft Simulations. We'll continue the action going as well as this plays out, but be sure to check them out as they are based in Perth. They've got some great simulators on offer. A couple of ads to come at you right now. We'll be back very, very soon. Very big thank you to Racecraft Simulations for supporting the V8 Veterans as well as Split 2 here. And Brendan O'Brien is under maximum pressure from John Gallen. 2 tenths of a second is now the gap to the leader and P2 of this race, Scotty. And John Gallen is looking hungry for this. Brendan O'Brien, it's hurting for him. He's having a fuel save absolute maximum right now. And he may need another pit stop in this one if he cannot get this car home, which will absolutely kill him in this race. It'll take him out of wide contention. But Gallen right now looks to be at no reprieve. He looks to be at maximum push as he's going to try and line this up for the Parabolica this time. By gets it done down the inside does John Gallen. He takes the lead from Brendan O'Brien. Lanyon's going to try and get this done as well. Surely O'Brien's going to bring it into pit soon if he's having to save this hard.
Yeah, he won't mind this though, Brenton. He's a smart player. Might give him the break that he needs. He did pick up a little bit of grass on the left front hand. They're going into the parabolic area. It cost him. But Lanion's going to have a little look. Yeah, why not defend? He does defend before the braking zone. Fair game. But yeah, this will help him out with his fuel there, Hamish. He might be able to save those 100 mil or so extra a lap. But it actually occurred to me, I wonder whether Lanyon's having a little bit of fuel problems out there as well, because we didn't see him go with Gallen as quick as what I thought he would have, Hamish.
No, he kind of just tucked up in behind O'Brien, but he may be thankful for the fact that Gallen actually got past him, in Lanyon that is, when he did, because this has now actually allowed Lanyon to save a bit of fuel over the last couple of laps as they look ahead here towards the final 6 laps of this race when they come across the line next time by. Lanyon right now, he's able to save some good fuel in behind O'Brien, but he does not want to let Gallen run away. He cannot let him go before these final couple of laps. He needs to be right on him with maximum pressure. Unfortunately, Troy Sipple, he's dropping back. He seems to be fuel saving at the moment as well. So it looks like this could be a top 4 or even a top 3 battle if O'Brien has to bring it into pit lane for the win of this race between Jamie Peters, Steve Lanyon and John Gallen if O'Brien needs that pit stop. If he can stay out there and he can remain with them with the fuel saving, he could be in with a shout, but it's going to be ultra tight on those numbers, and it's going to be ultra tight if he can sit with them as Sipples run it wide in the background. That's now let Clifton pass into the top 5 as this top 4 battle continues on. Lanyon looks to line this up down the inside of O'Brien. It's happened 2 laps in a row for him. Peters is going to try and sneak it up the inside of him as well. They're going to be side by side, possibly on the next straight. No, Peters slots him back in behind. And the top 4 is ultra pressure mode right now as O'Brien's dropped 2 positions at the Parabolica across the last 2 laps in a row, Scotty.
Yeah, Brenton's in a world of hurt here, Hamish. He's on a mega fuel save. I expect Jamie to get this done sooner than later on Brenton. But he's fought him off very well. That's that experience coming out. I know being part of ERT there for quite some time, Brenton does crunch a lot of numbers on the fuel. He's normally very good with his strategy in his fuel numbers and driving to a fuel number. It's something that, there's a big incident there, Hamish. Big incident. 3 cars involved. We've got we've got Mackay.
Yeah, we got both the Mackays in Scott and Lorne. We got Vermey as well. I looked back at Troy Sybil, who dropped a heap of spots as the single lane traffic tries to make it through that corner now. He also had a spin at turn 1, so he's actually now dropped out of that top 5 battle, as we mentioned. But Gallen right now, he's already started to build the gap over Lanyon to out towards over a second. O'Brien's still under pressure now from Jamie Peters. Mick Clifton's sitting back. He's got the popcorn out. He's hoping these guys have it coming together and he'd get a free position onto the podium or possibly even 2. And this top 5 battle, these guys are separated by around about 3 seconds at the moment. But it's Brenton O'Brien who's in ultra hurt right now. He's in ultra hurting mode as he's in maximum fuel save mode. And Lanyon and Gallen and Peters, they're at full push right now to try and get this podium done. Luckily, though, for O'Brien, he's not under pressure at the Parabolica on this lap.
How well is John Gallen driving for Pacific Esports Racing, Hamish? Like, he is legitimately fast here, and to keep Lanyon behind, presuming Lanyon does not have to save any fuel at this stage, Hamish, to keep him that second behind a lap, that's absolutely stellar driving because it is such a big draft. And that lap there, having a look at John Gallen's lap time, a 48.6 leading with Lanyon behind him in a 48.8. Absolutely wonderful driving, although he does close him up, especially on that draft coming out of turn 2.
Mick Clifton is confirming my suspicions that he's hoping that these guys have it coming together at the front end of the field. But this top 4 battle, they've now just started to spread out just a little bit here as we get to 5 laps to go, Scotty. So Peters is going to want to try and get past O'Brien as quickly as possible to try and catch up to the back end of Steve Lanyon and make this a triple threat affair for the front end of town. As we go back just a little bit here, we've got Matthew Scholes. He's leading a little battle pack here with Dean Logsdale. He's got Daniel Sheriff just ahead of him as well. We've got Vandermeulen and Duggan swapping and changing positions are the Nova Simsports teammates a bit further back. They've got Peter Latham, Richard Barella chasing them down at the moment as well. Michael Yeo is got massive pressure behind from Lorne Mackay, as well as Luke Ullman. A bit further back, we've also got Satira involved in a battle with Scott Mackay, Sean Cullen, and Michael Quain as well. These some of the closest battles on track. We've got Boyd, Taylor, and Fox involved in a battle. Heddersheed, Rushworth, and Crow. These guys are all towards the back end of town, but that top end battle, it is intense, and Peters is lining something up at the Parabolica. They're going to have 4 laps to go. Peters finally gets it done on O'Brien and now looks ahead to Steve Lanyon and John Gallen to try and chase them down and try and pull off a miraculous effort here to hold out on a podium position, Scotty.
Yeah, absolutely. Great move by Jamie Peters there. Again, you could see Brenton. It looked like he was on the clutch to me, but he's in mega fuel save. There's so many good battles going on throughout the field there, Hamish, and it's unfortunately can't show them all. But there is some great racing going on. There's some great racing up the front here. These top 5 drivers here from Mick Clifton forwards all the way up to Gallen, they're driving absolutely beautiful. They're on the hammer. They've made big gaps, big gains to the rest of the fields. As we see, Scholes looks like he's sent it down the inside there of Sheriff's, and has Scholes, he's dropped 6 positions, but he's still in the top 10, Hamish. up into P8.
This has been a comeback for Matthew Scholes. He came in on lap 18 with the rest of the front runners, and he's actually managed to gain up some spots up into P8. In behind him, there are 6 cars who pitted on lap 11. So that's 6 spots that he has gained, at least, since the last restart off that third safety car. He has done an immense job right now to get it back up into the top 10. As the front end of town for John Gallen, Steve Lanyon, Jamie Peters, they're all trying to get involved in their battle. And if Lanyon and Gallen start going at it here for the final couple of laps, they're only going to drag Peters into this thing, and they are going to make it that triple threat affair that we have been waiting for over the last couple of laps, as they have all now gapped out to Brenton O'Brien, who is around about, I want to say 1 second off the back of Peters right now. So he's still within tow range, but he's still in fuel save mode.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just having a little look through the timings. Not all the drivers have got their team names up. So going by that, we've got a different team within the top 10. There is not any teammates, Hamish, going by the scoreboard up here of the same team in there. So what a fantastic to see so many drivers and teams up here. As we see Lanyon, he's had enough. He's pulled out. He's going to have a little look down the inside here, Hamish, into turn 1. We know Gallen's pulled out of that. Smart play, John. He knew that it wasn't quite on just yet. He'll get an opportunity. Lanyon didn't get the drive out of turn 2 side by side as they head up to the 3. If Gallen can hold this, Hamish, if he can hold this is going to set him up beautifully for the move into turn 4.
Well, the main event battle is finally on for the front of the field. Lanyon and Gallen side by side down towards turn 4 and 5. Gallen's going to try and hold that inside line as best he can. Lanyon's managed to hold the front of the field. Peters is now getting involved as well, as the top 3 are getting into this battle right now. Unfortunately, Troy Sipple has had to come into the pits, and he has now dropped all the way back to P26 on the road, Scotty. Unfortunately for him, he was having a great run up to that point as they come round the Lesmo corners of 6 and 7 up towards Ascari now. Top 3 are separated by less than a second. It's all being led by John Gallen to Steve Lanyon to Jamie Peters. Before Sipple came into the pits, Scotty, all the drivers up to P11 were from different teams. The first double up was SLS for Steve Grumley in P12, who now sits in P10 on the road. So now there are 9 different teams in the top 10 of this race. Absolutely wild stuff to have happen as the top 3 continue their battle on up towards the Parabolica. Peters is hungry for this. Last time he was here, he got a win in Split 3. Could he do it again here in Split 2? Well, time will only tell. If Lanyon and Gallen have it coming together, Peters is going to be in the hot seat to take that lead off him as they start lap 32. And there's 2 laps to go of this Monza race here tonight. 200 Ks around Monza, of course. There's only 2 laps left of it. Only a couple of Ks left as Peters is going to try and line this up down the inside, possibly down towards turn 1. Backs out of it at the last moment. And the top 3, oh, it's getting intense, Scotty, and it's anyone's game right now. As Lanyon's had a big wiggle off of turn 2. This will now give a bit of a reprieve to Gallen up towards turn 4.
Wow, Lanyon is giving that SLS Commodore there absolutely everything, Hamish. Those tyres will be screaming and alight with fury, especially that rear left-hand tyre. So that's how well Gallen is going at the moment, to be able to make Lanyon get on it so hard like that. This is incredible pace that these drivers are driving at. Brenton Stanton O'Brien, who was leading him after the safety car, he's coming under attack with Clifton as well. So he's going to be mindful of that, not to lose P4. But this top 3, anyone's game. Actually, the top 5, anyone's game, Hamish.
If we were to put through, just quickly before this final lap, some driver of the day options, Scotty, who are we thinking right now? Are we thinking possibly a Mick Clifton? Are we thinking possibly a Jamie Peters or a Lanyon or a Gallen? What's your thoughts right now?
Yeah, look, I do. Lanyon, yes, he's a fantastic driver. He's up 32 positions, Hamish. He should have started at the front anyway, is my thoughts. But we have seen Jamie Peters. He's up into P3 at the moment, up 10. Roy Clark up 33 positions into P6. That's a good one too. DeGuy, like you mentioned. Also, Dean Logsdale. I really like that one at the moment, Hamish. P8, 27 positions gained.
Yep, unfortunately for Roy Clark, you put the moz on him. He's had a spin round at Ascari. Final lap time, though. Gallen, Lanyon and Peters separated by less than a second right now at the front end of the field. We're going to put forward 4 names as we normally would I'm going to say, I think Jamie Peters is going to be my nomination. Scotty, who are you thinking for your nomination just quickly?
I'm going to go for Dean Logsdale for Team AGR. I think this is a very confidence-building race for him. More to come from that driver as this championship rounds up.
All right, we're going to say Peters, Logsdale. We're going to say Mick Clifton. And we're going to say John Gallen, as we both kind of expected Lanyon to have been up the front of the field here tonight. He has gained 32 spots. We're going to go for a couple of outside edge picks. So Peters, Logsdale, Clifton or Gallen, put your picks into the chat. We've put out recommendations out there of who we think could take it. Don't want to hear any other names other than those four at the moment as Gallen leads them round the Lesmo corners of 6 and 7. He's started to build this gap now over Peters. It's white flag lap as they come down towards Ascari. Gallen has got a massive lead at the moment. He's flashing the headlights. He knows he's got this in hand. He just has to make it through Ascari and the Parabolica, and he will take his first win of the season here, Scotty. Round Ascari they come now. Gallen, who's been fighting hard all day. He's up 5 spots from where he started. Lanyon is up 32. Peters is up 10. He's flashing those headlights. He knows Lanyon's not close enough to put the pressure on him for the lead of this race. Into the Parabolica they come round now for the final time. And it's been an immense one. It's been an incredible battle thus far. You couldn't have picked it at the start of tonight's race. John Gallen, round the final corner, is going to cross the line. P1 on the road for the first time in season 20. Lanyon's going to get himself another podium, and Jamie Peters has finally broken the drought, gotten up on the podium, and Mick Clifton somehow has maintained his spot and finished this race out in P4. O'Brien nurses at home to P5 as there's been a massive stack at Ascari, about 5 cars involved.
Wow, that's a big crash there. Looks like Michael Quain. I see him dropping down the order. Oh, there's more cars involved. That's a Nova Simsports car there, Hamish, that's gone in as well. Wow, what a finish to here. There's all car parts everywhere. I'm not sure whether there's 1, 2, 3, 4 cars there stranded on it. Hamish, I'm not sure they can get them going.
This is how it's occurred. Reese to go. He's had a massive wide run off of Ascari's and collected Sean Vandermeulen down in towards this corner. Lorne Mackay has been involved as well. And they've just gone absolutely everywhere, Scotty, off this final corner. Michael Quain's tried to make it through. What's he done? He's just caught Mackay's car. Nowhere to go. And then we can see it all kind of settles for a couple of minutes here. There's Vandermeulen, who's parked up on the side of the track. He's going to try and flick spin it here, it seems. He's let these cars go. Yeah, flick spins it round. Then watch the left-hand side of the screen. There's Ullman. Bang! Straight into the side of him. Off the rejoin. Wow. And that is a massive car crash to end this race. But what a run home for John Gallen. And what a run home for that top 3, Scotty.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just 90 degrees too far on that flick spin. Otherwise, he had it, Sean. But yeah, John Gallen absolutely drove fantastic tonight. You know, he knew he had it, Hamish, before he even got to the last chicane there. He was flashing his lights. He's saying, "I've got you, Lanyon. This is mine." And really great to see, driving with a lot of confidence, obviously, to keep Lanyon at bay. Jamie Peters, absolutely breakthrough drive for him in split 2. That would be his first podium, I believe, Hamish, here in the split 2. Mick Clifton, you know, drove absolutely beautifully to see him up there. Held his position amongst these drivers with all those challenges and safety cars. That's an absolute excellent drive there from the Accelerate Sim Racing driver. Brenton O'Brien, what could have been, nearly was, not quite. Fuel got him in the end, but a top 5, you'd be happy with that, Hamish, especially after having a couple of rounds off.
Yeah, he would be absolutely wrapped with that. I mean, after having to try and nurse the car home, he's done an exceptional job to do that. We'll get some B-roll running for you now of the field as they tried to make their way through. We'll start with our third place finisher in Jamie Peters here tonight. We'll drag him up into the green room. Mr. Peters, the first time you have joined us here in the commentary booth for a P3 on the road out there for tonight's race here at Monza. What an exceptional run. I mean, you've been on the bubble for a long, long time for this podium, and it's finally come together for you at a track that you've previously taken a win at in Split 3.
Yes. Thanks for having me. Yeah, don't know what to say. It came in with no expectations. Almost chose the couch instead of the steering wheel. But yeah, glad I hopped in, and probably a little bit lucky to be in the group that did the second pit stop on the second safety car. And yeah, kind of knew that it was going to come back to us at some point, but was struggling with a bit of fuel there for a lot of it too, which obviously Brenton did more so. But yeah, I'm chuffed. I think when I was in the top 5, I was, a few races I had beforehand have made mistakes, and I was almost just going to take that and even take 4th. I seem to have 4th pretty comfortably, but good old Brenton back in the day when we were part of KRF together in the same team. Yeah, we tended to find each other and have some kind of healthy inter-team battles and comings togethers and all that sort of thing. So it was like a little bit of a red rag to a bull to have a crack, at least get past Brenton. Anyway, yeah, that's my race, really.
Yeah, that was an absolute stellar drive, Jamie, over the last season and a half or nearly 2 seasons that I've been here in the booth with Hamish. That's the best that I've seen you drive. You had controlled aggression. You put it on when you needed to. You showed your nose when, you were looking, but you also made the right choices going, I wasn't quite there. So would you look at this race as a breakthrough race for you here in Split 2? Because it most certainly seemed like it. It looked like you were having fun. You're enjoying it much better than the couch, mate.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Scotty. Yeah, probably learning a few things, even comments that you make, through the broadcast throughout the seasons, just learning a few things and listening. But yeah, this race, probably having a little bit more confidence in the car, where I think the whole lap I could push the car, whereas most other tracks there's somewhere where I feel like I need to be tentative. And so yeah, having the confidence in the car, knowing that you can be forceful and even pull out of moves sometimes. Yeah, it's, who knows whether it changes on the next track, but I'll take this one. And yeah, it feels good to put a good one in and enjoy it and be able to have a crack as well.
Yeah, well, you absolutely done that, Jamie, and you drove superbly. Now, just on a lighter note, I'd like to ask you, do you actually drive 2 doors down to see your neighbour in a Zippy Fly? Do you actually drive there and not walk?
Yeah, and my sat nav's been playing up, and I sort of had to do it, just off memory. So yeah, I do.
Oh, anything to have a beer with your mate, I guess, and if you have to drive 2 doors down, why not?
Yeah, I suppose it's a little bit of a joke, but I wouldn't. We can't be too boring here. It can be a little bit quiet, so we do silly little quirky things between Adrian and I drove down there on Friday. Traffic was good, so it didn't. And, yeah, we sat around the fire, and I got a compliment off Adrian, which I should have recorded it. Um, he tried to kiss my feet as I hopped out of my car, and yeah, Adrian more than me probably, but yeah, we know how to have a laugh and take it lightly, but we know how to be serious too. He probably pushes me along, to be honest. He's doing some fast times at the moment, so sometimes I'm spending hours to try and do that extra 0.1 just to try and beat him, but he's more often than not beating me, so it's kicking me along, which is awesome.
Take the solace, Jamie, that you got a split 2 podium before he did, as well as a split 3 win before he did as well. So you've at least got those 2 over him. Is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to before we let you go here tonight?
Oh, for sure. First of all, race control, especially in that race, they were, You know, we just heard them constantly. So yeah, mega job by them. Both you, Hamish, and Scotty, the broadcast. I think both of you together, it's informative, it's professional, and yeah, we even learn a few things as drivers. So thank you. You should be super proud. Yeah, my teammates at Sim Rigs, Infinity Motorsports. You know, I suppose we don't take it too seriously, but all the little bits of input with our brake bias and things like that, we share it, and I think we genuinely want to help each other be faster, not necessarily beat each other within the team. So yeah, it's just growing as a good environment. But yeah, I want to congratulate John Gallen, Steve Lanyon. You know, they were gunning for it. So I think the race they put on, it puts a bit of pressure to think, I'm not sure if I can really throw it in on these guys, but so big congrats to them as well. And yeah, Brenton did well too to hang out there in the lead for all that time. I think we all knew if we you know, got behind each other when we were losing touch with him, it seemed like we all clicked into the same mode, that we would drag him back. And yeah, great race.
Very good,
Loved
mate.
it.
Well, congratulations on your first Split 2 podium and for P3 out at Monza. Best of luck for Imola next week, and if we don't get a chance to speak to you, best of luck for the rest of the season ahead as well.
Awesome. Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
Okay, cheers.
All right, we'll drag in Mr. Lanyon now. Mr. Steve Lanyon, what a season you are having. So close to getting yet another win this season. You just missed out in the end there. But, man, you are on an absolute tear right now. If you looked back, possibly 4 seasons ago, it is like a completely different Steve Lanyon is out on track, and I am absolutely loving it. You are doing an exceptional job in that SLS machine.
Yeah, thanks for that, mate. We're cruising along, just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So it's all starting to all pull together, you know. So we're going well. Going
Yeah,
well.
well, you're driving absolutely beautifully, Steve. I mean, this season you're showing you are the driver to beat. You've got the stats on the board. I know that you have missed one round, but overall driving absolutely beautifully. Now, starting from as far back as what you did, what happened in quali, mate? What happened there?
Oh, just got a 1X. But anyway, just muffed it basically. But anyway, that's you know, Grumley had driven through the back of the field countless times. So I thought, well, I guess it's my turn because I normally qualify quite good. So I probably should have reset and went back to the pits on a fresh set of tyres, but I couldn't be bothered. And on my second lap, got a bit loose out of turn 4, and just cost myself 300s, and yeah, did a 48-1 or something like that in quali. So anyway, that happens. Got to come back and yeah, put that behind you pretty quick. So
Well, it does show that how tight the qualification can be here in Split 2 when you're just 4 or 5 tenths off and it puts you all the way back in the pack there. But what an absolute stellar drive, mate. And as Hamish touched on it, you've grown immensely this season with the way that you're going about and the way you're positioning your car on track, and you're making the gains and the rewards are coming your way. So thoroughly well deserved, mate, and I look forward to watching the rest of the season and see how you go about the rest of the tracks. With Imola next week, how do you feel about that track?
I like Imola. It's still a high-speed circuit with a fair few more corners, so I quite like it. Looking forward to it. I feel like I'll be better suited to Imola than definitely this track. So fingers crossed I could put a decent quality down. So
Do you think next week, Steve, we might see the same amount of carnage we've had the last couple of weeks? Because we know that it has proven to cause a couple of incidents, not just in vets, but other series as well that have gone there. And You think maybe some drivers get a little bit too overzealous sometimes in some of their moves into some of those chicanes around that track, and do you think it could be one in the same once again?
Definitely that chicane in the back third of the track.
Yeah.
You know, people will brake late there and then bounce over those curbs, and yeah, two doesn't really go into one too well there, but yeah, there's definitely overtaking chances at that track. So, but there's a little bit of risk and reward too on some of those overtaking spots on that track. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm just hoping to qualify and get a top 10 quali and yeah, get through the first corner and go from there. So
well, I think I think qualifying, and Scotty probably able to test this well. I think it's actually going to be quite imperative next week, just based on the carnage we could see there, and it's a little bit more unavoidable when the carnage happens in front of you. Like at least at Monza, that it's a bit more runoff. You can kind of slow the car up and get around people. Where at Imola, you got some blind corners, you got a lot of walls in close proximity to the track where cars can actually bounce off and then collide back onto the circuit. So I think next week, if you can get a good qualifying in, you should do quite well still. I'll be excited to see how the field goes next week actually, because we haven't been at Imola. I think did we come here last season, Scotty, or was it season 18 we were last at Imola?
It's been a long time since we're at Imola, Hamish. It is a normal on the calendar for the V8 supercars, but yeah, it'd have to be a couple of seasons ago at least that we're there. Does open itself up to great racing that, you know, and Steve was right, that last chicane where you can hop over, it can cause a few problems. Down into the first chicane can be a few problems, but it is a great track that suits the V8 supercars. So yeah, from my perspective, I'm looking forward to going to Imola.
Very good. All right, well, let us know who helps get you and SLS Racing out on track, Steve. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? And once again, congratulations on your P2 here tonight and yet another podium finish for yourself. You are looking like one of the favourites for this championship at the moment.
yeah, well, thanks for that. No, look, big thanks to Grumps. He got a P9, so he started in P9 and finished P9, so that was a good result by him. But spot on ag, sheer genius. CT flashings and Grumley lawn mowing. Yeah, so, and just all you guys, the race control and everyone in vets. So, yeah, and a big thanks to John Gallen. That was awesome racing. Like, I was giving it my all at the end there. I just, no tyres left, and he looked after his better than me. So, you know, hats off. And well done to Jamie. It was a great battle to the end. And, yeah, probably bit of bad luck with Brenton. He was my biggest worry going forward when I was sitting in P5, thinking because he's a very smart racer, but just a bit short on fuel. So
I am very
anyway,
glad
thanks
that you
to everybody.
have revealed that Grumley does lawn mowing, because we
We
have a very easy reference now if we ever find Steve Grumley on the grass. Thank you so much for that, Steve. I really appreciate it. But no, it's been an epic season so far for yourself. You've been a very, very high caliber driver thus far this season. Very, very patient, and it is paying off for you. Leaps and bounds. Best of luck for Imola next week. We hope to see you do well once again. And thanks for coming over chat to us here tonight. And hopefully we'll have another one with you next week.
No, it's going good this weekly chat, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, no, good on you, boys. I'll catch you.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
Bye.
Well, Scotty, I've checked the chat. I have sussed up all the names that have been listed in the chat here tonight. And not only our race winner, but also our Chubby Buns Burgers driver of the day for Autodromo de Monza, Jonathan Gallen. Mr. Gallen, your first win this season. I think it might even be your first win in Split 2, if I'm correct. You are just on another level at the moment. You are getting win after win across multiple different series, and all the puzzle pieces are coming together for you at the moment.
Yeah, they certainly are. I don't know what I've done, but I hope it keeps continuing. And yes, my first big W in Split 2. Maybe I should retire now.
Wow. I mean, you've. I'd have to double. I really want. I need to double check first wins compared to races that drivers have done? Because I think the most someone has gone is what Steve Kennedy did, where he got to his, I think it was his 150th last season, and he took his first win on his 150th. So it'd be interesting to see who's, how long drivers have gone before they've taken their first win in overall vets, but possibly even in their split that they're in. I mean, what's been different this season? Is it the inclusion of Mr. Dodds into Pacific Esports Racing that's pushing you forward? Is it the fact that Fitzpatrick's getting some pace about him as well? What has changed in the mindset and in the world of John Gallen that has pushed him forward into being in these battles? Or is it the fact that the 10 drivers you were racing a lot previously have all moved up into another split, and now you've got a whole new bunch of drivers you can race around?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I think I think it was having a break at the end of last season. Just changing. I wasn't enjoying it, and you got to enjoy your racing. So I pulled out. I think it was like with 4 rounds to go or something like that. Went and joined another league just for some fun. I think I was driving the 8.6s from memory. Had a lot of fun, and then come back and just put my head down into the supercar, get more of the feel, more drive. Very happy with it. Yes, with Dodsey joining the team, Fitzy and the rest of the guys, we've all got some pace and everyone's stepping up. I think we're just stepping up together, I guess, which is awesome.
Well, John,
I can't really pinpoint it.
You're absolutely driving fantastic, John. This is your second podium, 2 weeks. This time you went P1. Really, really good to see you up there driving and enjoying your racing again. As someone who can attest that taking a little bit of time out from sim racing or just doing something a little bit different to the normal and resetting that that mindset that you talked about so you could come back in and focus, absolutely paying dividends for you. And I haven't got any questions for you. Hamish pretty much covered everything that we needed to know. But, I just wanted to say the way you're driving, the way you're conducting yourself on track at the moment, absolutely exceptional. I look forward to watching how you go for the rest of the season, mate.
Yeah, cheers, Scotty. Thanks for that, mate. Always look up to you, being split one champion for multiple seasons.
I think it's 4 times champion now, Scotty. Looking at a 5th this season, the way you're going.
Yeah, time will tell.
Yeah.
One race at a time.
That's it.
Oh, my blade language, just
That's
one
it.
race at a time.
That's it. One lap at a time.
That's it, mate. Well, John, you've been an absolute cracker this season. You've been on form for the majority of the time you've been out on track. You're looking like one of the favourites to take out this championship alongside Steve Lanyon and a couple of others as well. I think if you can put together a good couple of rounds coming up in the next few weeks, you may even lock yourself into that top 10 moving up into split one, which will be a whole new challenge for you. But you've been moving on up throughout this season, and it's been so good to see your progression, not only this season, but over the last couple of seasons as well. Let us know who helps get you and Pacific Esports Racing out on track, and anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to as well.
Yep. Big shout out, Chubby Buns. I wasn't expecting it. There was other drivers, which I think were much better and deserved it. But you know what? I'm going to take it this time. So thank you, Chubby Buns. V8 Vets guys, race control, safety car drivers, Hamish, yourself, and Scott for the broadcast. Awesome. My fan crew. Thanks, guys. Muchly appreciate it. And most of all, the guys and the team at PR. We do an awesome job. Work as a team, communicate, have a joke, have a laugh, enjoy it. Big shout out to Lake Edge Holiday Units, One Shot Pest Management, Ben the Blade for Balin Foundation, W Energy Drinks, Tim Nickel Photography, and Player One Sim Gear. And if there's anyone else I've missed, sorry. I know the list is huge. but thanks, guys.
Mate, those pelican wings spread very, very far, but you've done an exceptional job thus far. Congratulations on your maiden victory here in Split 2. Hopefully it is not the last you get before possibly moving up to Split 1 next season. Best of luck for Imola next week. And if we don't get a chance to speak to you, best of luck for the rest of this season ahead.
Thanks, Hamish. Another Italian track, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. 2 weeks in a row.
Ooh.
Yep. And then where do we go the week after? And then we go They're not too far away. We then go to Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for round 8 for the Enduro. So, and then Road Atlanta. Road Atlanta, I think it's Road Atlanta the week after, and then it would be Road Atlanta, and then Sandown for retro round. So get your retros done, people. I want some good retros. Infinity Motorsports running some SBR cars and a couple of others as well. So I look forward to seeing some good retros out on track in that final round.
I know the guys are working hard on the retro livery for me. They've already started, so
I reckon get in nice and early so no one else can claim what you want. I got in on like round 3 because I wanted some liveries that were, I didn't want to see any double ups out there. So get in early, claim your liveries early because we want to see a lot of variety out there. And we want to see some really, really nice pieces of work in terms of graphical art on these cars for that final round. So, but best of luck, mate, for next week and the rest of the season. We look forward to seeing how you finish out this one.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, John.
No, it's John. I tell you what, Hamish, you could not have written that script. So many, some adversities that drivers faced tonight. Some of the crowd favourites. And fortune favoured the brave with the guys coming in at lap 11 for that pit stop, their final pit stop. So, it really paid dividends for those drivers that managed to save that fuel. So, what a fantastic race in the end, though. Absolutely, for Gallen to be able to hold off the likes of Longsdale and Jamie Peters behind him. And, just absolutely fantastic. So, really enjoyed that race. Mick Clifton, I thought he drove absolutely beautiful, Hamish. A real standout drive by him tonight. And Brenton O'Brien, as always, solid. Just a bit short on that fuel, what could have been, but he'd be happy.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be too far away from Brenton O'Brien taking a victory this season. Could be one of the favourites heading into the final couple of rounds. But it's going to be imperative for these drivers to stay consistent and to get some positive finishes out towards the end of this season. There is only 3 more droppable rounds of this championship before we head back to Sandown for the final round of this season, which that last round will be undroppable and will be one hell of a finale for us to finish out season 20 of the V8 Veterans. We have to give a big thank you to all of our series sponsors, including our title sponsor, Racecraft Simulations, and our other sponsors in Logitech G, Südspeed Gloves, Player One Sim Gear, Nova Simsports, Chubby Buns Burgers for the Driver of the Day award. I don't think I've forgotten anyone this time. I can't remember, to be honest. My brain is gone at the moment. If I have forgotten anyone, I do apologise. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, the bell icon as well, so you are notified anytime we go racing here on the V8 Veterans channel. And be sure to hit the like button as well, as any engagement we can get will help grow the channel, grow the league, and grow the series. So then we can help bring more and more epic racing like this to your screens. Parramatta Isuzu Ute as well. That was the other one that I forgot. Parramatta Isuzu Ute. So big thank you to all of those series sponsors. Get into the chat if you're watching us live as well, whether it's for the Split 3 Sandpit / Kitchen or for the Split 2 broadcast here on Saturday nights, 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's been a phenomenal season so far. We've got round 7 next week for Imola, and then we head over to Belgium for round 8 the week after for the Enduro. So an epic couple of weeks to come up here on the V8 Veterans channel. You do not want to miss any of the action. If you want to catch the Split 1 action live on Thursday nights, head over to Simspeed TV. They will have all the coverage for Split 1 for the remainder of this season and beyond. For myself, Hamish Munro and Scott Gamble, once again, we thank you for your time. We thank you for being here with us once again. We'll see you guys next time as we go racing around Imola next week for round number 7. But until then, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.
Can't stop me, I'm a legend. I run with the crew that's making the moves. Get out of the way, we coming through. We got this, never stopping, and we won't lose. No, we can't lose. Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. We are the legends. We are the legends. Yeah. Are you ready? We are the legends. We are the legends.
Introducing the Racecraft PT1, custom-built full chassis racing simulator. The design project, codenamed the Cage, an 80/40 extrusion chassis sitting on top of a Sigma Integrale DK2 Plus 4-point full motion actuator system. No compromises in the cockpit of the PT1 simulator. To maximize the experience, we start with the 49-inch ultra-wide monitor for the greatest field of view in a small footprint of the simulator, down to the SimuCube wheelbase that's tucked up and behind the monitors with SimCore extensions to get things out of the driving area. Everything is connected to a Cube Controls GTX steering wheel with the built-in dash and all the extra button functions available at your fingertips. Driving through the Raceworks S1 pedals, the potentiometer throttle and the 2 hydraulic pedals for brake and clutch ensures you maximize the feel underfoot, and seating yourself into an OMP HTER bucket racing seat with OMP belts connected to a G-belt tensioner to provide that extra feeling and the heightened experience while you're driving. Additional interfaces and accessories in the PT1, we have twin butt kickers, one on either side of the OMP seat, as well as a Jinx sequential shifter, the SimPush Race Logic timer to the left-hand side, a Racecraft built-in WinSim kit with Philips Hue lighting and a built-in soundbar, plus the OMP side net to finish off the experience in the PT1. The Racecraft PT1, build number 1, the ultimate in sim racing experience, combining the best products in the market with the passionate, no compromise approach that goes beyond racing simulation.